This is Adelaide's FIVEaa.
Showers and 17 today with the 6 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Peak hour hit too hard? For an RAA approved crash repair, contact Premier Panel Services.
It's been a crazy 24 hours in State Parliament. Less than a week after quitting the Liberals, Independent Dan Cregan has been voted new Speaker. Labor and several crossbenchers came together last night after legislation to allow independent MPs to hold the position passed the lower house. Mr Cregan succeeds Josh Teague in what's been described as a coup. He then made his first address to the House as Speaker.
I have great respect for the government. I have great respect for the opposition. I hope that I will discharge my functions clearly, with great respect for all members present, and I will take into account advice given to me by both sides in hoping to see through my role.
The state's public doctors will walk off the job this morning as part of an industrial dispute with the government over pay and conditions. Doctors want action to address excessive workloads and fatigue, along with a pay rise of 2 to 2.5%. The Salaried Medical Officers Association's David Pope says many are at breaking point.
It's often our junior surgeons, people who are operating major procedures, and they're operating through the night and then the next day and then seeing patients in clinic and trying to do all that safely. And as you say, they're human beings. It's just not possible for that to occur.
The UK's failure to do more to stop COVID spreading early in the pandemic has been deemed one of the worst ever public health failures. A parliamentary report has found the government made major mistakes at the start of the global outbreak, costing thousands of unnecessary lives. Government officials say they did what they could with the information they had in a time of crisis. Australia will embark on its first mission to the moon before the end of the decade. Nine's Lucy Gray has more.
The government has signed a deal with space agency NASA to build a rover destined for the moon. Leading Australian businesses and researchers will be given $50 million to develop the technology. The semi-autonomous rover would be tasked with collecting lunar soil, from which NASA would try to extract oxygen. Applications to take part in the program will open next year. NASA will then fly the rover to the moon as early as 2026.
A coroner in the United States has ruled travel blogger Gabby Petito died of strangulation. It's also been determined the 22-year-old passed away 3 to 4 weeks before her remains were found in a Wyoming national park. Coroner Dr. Brent Blue says the autopsy process was extensive.
Included a whole-body CAT scan, examination by a forensic pathologist, an examination by a forensic anthropologist, and toxicology evaluation. We've pretty much covered all the bases.
Gabby's boyfriend Brian Laundrie remains the only person of interest and is still missing. Now to FIVEaa Sport.
Save up to 15% on selected Asco cooking appliances at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
And it's good morning to Jace Kemp.
Good morning to you, Mel. Jordan Dawson is set to be a Crow next season. Adelaide and Sydney have finally come to an agreement for the 24-year-old. The deal will see Sydney receive Melbourne's future first-round pick from Adelaide. Meantime, new power development coach Luke Kelly has told Rowie he's looking forward to helping Port take the next step.
You make prelims for a reason, so it's really just trying to value add and do what I can, whether it's helping these young guys, take the next step and work in with how to integrate with the older boys as well.
The Socceroos' 11-game winning streak has come to an end. Japan beat Australia in the World Cup qualifier overnight 2-1 due to a late own goal.
Matt Ryan can't keep it out, it's bundled in at the back post. Asano takes the credit. Furuhashi might have got the final touch. But what is certain is that Japan have their lead back at 2-1.
To cricket, and the Redback season resumes at Karen Rolton Oval this morning in the One Day Cup. Fast bowler Brendan Doggett will debut against Queensland. And finally, in the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets have sidelined Kyrie Irving until he's vaccinated against COVID in accordance with New York's vaccination mandate. And that's the FIVEaa Sport.
Now the FIVEaa forecast.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
Showers today and a top of 17. The showers will continue tomorrow, 17, and then ease on Friday, 18. Right now it's 12 degrees. More news as it happens on FIVEaa.
Down on the corner, out in the street. Need more living space or storage? Visit olympicindustries.com.au. Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to FIVEaa Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Wednesday on FIVEaa Breakfast. It's a crazy night in South Australian Parliament last night. We'll take you through it over the course of the morning today, and it'll feature heavily in our 7 o'clock news wrap. We'll talk more about it as the relevant participants wake up. But as you've heard in 5AA News, we've got a new speaker. We've got a parliamentary inquiry into a senior Liberal figure that was backed by a bunch of ex-Liberals. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on that's pretty extraordinary. It's only happened in the last 6 hours as well. So we'll take you through that over the course of the morning. Also today, big sports morning. You've heard the results didn't go the Socceroos' way overnight. Did go the Crows' way overnight. They've secured a deal for the Swans' Jordan Dawson. So we'll get into that.
Late night deals all round, folks.
There certainly were. Although the AFL ones, I think they were done more around the 9 o'clock time. So that was sort of more reasonable.
Yeah.
The real political stuff got happening around midnight.
The Crows haven't been referred to a parliamentary select committee about how they went about it. Or...
Well, not again.
Well, no, that's right. Last time that happened, it took almost a year to sort it out.
Exactly right. We'll get into that. Also, Sean Fuster today. We'll go around the courts with Sean. The Lord Mayor, Sandy Verschure, is going to join us. Turns out the plan wasn't to rip up the Victoria Park Racecourse. It was to incorporate it with the trees. Also, now we're being told. We'll talk to her about that discussion that took place in the council chambers last night and some of the other big issues confronting the City of Adelaide as well. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. As Will said, we'll be climbing fully into the story about Dan Cregan, Vicky Chapman, Josh Teague being axed as Speaker later in the program. But one early observation I'd make, I'm always suspicious about the motives of politicians. And I can remember working in federal parliament back in the first year of the Howard government, 1996, there was a guy called Malcolm Colston, who was a little-known Labor senator who wanted to be nominated for the presidency of the Senate, that illustrious position. Sorry, not the presidency, the deputy presidency of the Senate. And Labor didn't back him, and he quit the party and got the job. And got a pay rise and got a car and got a couple of other little perks. Now, I'm not saying that Dan Cregan is necessarily motivated by self-interest, but I think that the fact that I would presume there would have to have been prior knowledge on the other side of politics that once word got out that Dan had had enough of the Liberals, that he might be interested in doing something else. And that's something else. And clearly this is a massive crisis for Stephen Marshall because, you've got someone who is simpatico running proceedings in Josh Teague at the moment, or you had someone simpatico in Josh Teague at the moment. The point is, all along, all of the rhetoric that Dan Cregan has used this is all about doing the right thing by the people of the Adelaide Hills. Now, what benefit is there for the people of the Adelaide Hills in their local member being Speaker, or rather, is there a bigger benefit for their local member in being Speaker, i.e. an extra $150,000 a year, access to a chauffeur-driven car, all that sort of stuff? I'm not saying that that's necessarily his motivation. I'm just saying that it looks a hell of a lot like it might be.
Well, people listening will make their own determination about whether they think that was his motivation or not. I tell you what it does. It just hurts the credibility of the whole process. It hurts the credibility of him saying, first and foremost, it was about getting a better deal for the people of the Hills. Because
the first deal he's made is about his own employment arrangements.
Right.
And it makes him look more like Mal Colston than Tony Windsor or Rob Oakeshott.
Exactly right. Exactly right. The big story I think out of yesterday too is this will not be a benign crossbench of former Liberals who, the thing you hope they don't do, but in whole likelihood they would, is ringing around journos, shopping stories, embarrassing rivals, and doing stuff like that. No, what I'm saying is, you know what I mean.
So you're saying they won't be all bad?
No, what I'm saying is that's what you generally expect will be the downside of having ex-members of the party still sitting in Parliament as crossbenchers. But these guys aren't content to be benign backgrounders. They're actively using their vote to undermine the government. They're investigating the Deputy Premier. They're removing the government's choice for Speaker. They're being players in a way that I think is unprecedented.
They had to change the Constitution.
Yeah, they changed it to have an independent Speaker. And this is where there's a bit of suspicion about...
A bit loose.
This is where there's suspicion about collusion, because it was funny. Everyone had written speeches on the Labor side. Everyone had written speeches ahead of the discussion last night. Now,
between this and ICAC, we're finding out that politicians can do things in warp speed when they want to.
Look, that is absolutely right.
I think part of this is Stephen Marshall's fault, though. And in a way, maybe, and I'm certainly not saying he possesses the same level of arrogance as Malcolm Turnbull, but maybe he's got that classic sort of weird failing that people with a strong business background have.
I'm the CEO.
Yeah. Where you just assume that people are just going to come along for the ride with you, and that you don't always listen. You don't get into the tummy tickling that really good leaders do.
Yeah.
I can remember, John Howard, when there was a dripping wet moderate woman for a while called Susan Jeans, who held Kingston. She was a oncer, one term only, down south in the 96 landslide. And she started shooting her mouth off about all these progressive issues, taking pot shots at Howard. And I interviewed him about it once, and I said, is Miss Jeans starting to annoy you, Mr. Howard? And he goes, I love them all. I love them all.
Yep.
And he just had this, and he sort of meant it, because Howard was the guy who talked about the broad church.
That's right.
Maybe Marshall spent too much time sitting around with his own mates on his own pew, and now the chickens are coming home to roost because he hasn't engaged enough with the right wing of the party, and now they're going, stuff you for a joke, mate.
Well, I would say a couple of things about Stephen Marshall's role in this. One good, one bad. And I think these are deep divisions in a party that predate Stephen Marshall's involvement. In reality, we're talking about the Conservatives and the Liberals. This is
you'd know better, mate, having worked there for a little while.
That's right. This is the Libs returning to type, right? This is water finding its level. Now, the downside for Stephen Marshall in that is I actually think it takes some of the gloss off the Stephen Marshall was able to wrangle these unruly factions. I actually think the reality was, after 16 years, people went, we're never getting into government if we keep going down this path. So they managed to keep it together. They managed to keep it together to get into government.
You reckon they were pretending?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And now I think it hasn't taken much. It's taken, a couple of ICAC investigations and a Christmas party, and the thing's starting to fall apart.
Yeah. It's a bit like, world's least interesting headlines, new flare-up on West Bank.
Yes.
It's like no one's going to go, you're kidding.
Yeah.
There's a bit of that about the SA Liberal Party, isn't there?
Yeah.
Factional war erupts in SA Liberal Parties. Like, oh, you don't say.
Yeah. And look, the upside is, and people will have already heard this in our program when he talked to us yesterday, for Peter Malinauskas, they can run a line now. The moment there is anything like confusion between the head of SA Health and Stephen Marshall about whether borders will open in Christmas, they say, oh, well, there's confusion maybe because Stephen Marshall's focused on internal matters. There's confusion because he's having to manage what's going on inside. So now any minor slip-up, they can jam a wedge in and say, well, this is what you get, because these guys are talking about themselves. And that resonates with people.
And the other thing too, and this is where, great liberal thinkers like Nick Minchin, long-standing Conservative, very senior minister in the Howard era, he's often said we actually need a more formalised factional system in the Liberal Party, because it can just get bogged down in petty politics and petty personality-based politics.
Well, this is how, I'll tell you how petty it is.
Malinauskas is like this sort of strong man in comparison at the ALP because of his XDA background, and no one really seems to get out of line on their side.
The pettiness is this, and this is, I think, what drives me and you and probably every reasonable human being that's not involved in the process nuts. There's a whole bunch of people then that, by virtue of their factionalism, have said, we'd rather work with the Labor Party than our own side.
Yes.
Now, I don't know what ideology you're committed to if that's the way you wake up and go to work during the day.
Again, it gets back to the original point I made, quid pro quo.
Well,
and the quo right now looks like the speakership, the car, the pay rise. And as I said, Hills folks, maybe you're happy for your guy that that's happened to him. I reckon most of you couldn't give a toss, and that this looks a little bit more like a classic example of a politician going, I want more, and I found out a way to get it.
News headlines next.
Building amazing homes is important to Beechwood Homes, and so is the environment. So when you build with Beechwood, you're building a better environment for our kids and grandkids. Around 70% of scrap materials from every Beechwood home is recycled. Bricks, rubble, timber, gyprock and steel, none of it goes to landfill. It's all sorted and recycled. So life really is good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Take a look at the stunning Beechwood display home in Blackwood Park.
We save lives. We save money. We save the environment. We are NDE Solutions. Working alongside some of the biggest sectors in the country, including mining, defence, oil, gas, power and water, NDE Solutions lead the way in non-destructive testing and high-end inspection solutions to predict and prevent critical asset failure. The kind that could cost millions, have an environmental impact and potential loss of life to on-site workers. Leave nothing to chance. Schedule a consultation today. Visit ndesolutions.com.au.
G'day, it's Rowie with Eddie May from NRG Solar. Now, Eddie, why is now the best time to buy solar?
Thanks, Rowie. Government rebates will fall at the end of December. So if you act now, we can install your system in 2021 and you can save an additional $500 to $800 on a typical system, which is a considerable saving. The person who waits another year to decide to get solar will lose thousands of dollars.
Hey, thanks, Eddie. So go solar now and save. For more info, simply visit nrgsolar.com.au.
What's on your bucket list? Parachuting? Climbing Everest? Swimming with sharks? There's one thing that should be on everyone's bucket list: a will and estate plan. A will, power of attorney, and advanced care directive speak for you when you can't. They look after you and your loved ones. A will and estate plan drawn up by Donlan Lawyers is peace of mind for everyone. For wills and estate planning, contact Donlan Lawyers or visit donlanlawyers.com. Put it on your bucket list.
The Nissan Navara SL with Style Pack is here. Now you can get the ute that can go absolutely anywhere with a Nissan Genuine Nudge Bar, upgraded wheels, bonnet protector, weather shields and more included. Get the Nissan Navara SL Dual Cab 4x4 manual with Style Pack from only $49,490 drive away for ABN buyers. Plus, every Navara includes our standard 5-year warranty and roadside assist. Contact your Nissan dealer to find out more. Limited stock available. T's and C's apply.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
Need a shed strong enough to resist the harsh Australian climate? Visit Olympic Industries. Built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
9 minutes after 6, news headlines time on this Wednesday morning. It was already raining for me when I came in this morning. What was it like out your way?
Yeah, a little bit of light rain. Beautiful smell in the air. Lovely, yes. Petrichor smell.
We'll get to the weather very shortly, but it looks like...
sounds a bit like a word.
No, I think it definitely sounds like a word. Now, news headlines, Wednesday morning. Let's not talk about State Parliament because we've just done a bit on that.
Plenty of time for that later.
We'll talk more about that over the course of the morning. How about this? Australia will embark on its first mission to the moon before the end of the decade.
Oh.
This was in 5AA News a moment ago.
Ooh, now. Sorry, you keep going.
You're making all sorts of noises over there.
I'm very excited about this.
I didn't realise this was really tickling your fancy. The government has signed a deal with the NASA to build a rover for the moon. So leading Australian businesses and researchers will be given $50 million to develop the technology. The semi-autonomous rover would be tasked with collecting soil from which NASA would then try to extract oxygen. Applications to take part in the program will open next year for Australian and South Australian businesses. Hey, SA businesses, the head of the space agencies here in town. NASA will then fly the rover to the moon as early as 2026.
With a driver?
No, I think it's semi-autonomous. I think. Well, might be a driver on Earth.
I got excited because I thought an Australian was going to go to the moon.
That would have been like just driving in the car, cruising around, digging up soil. That would have been excellent.
Because I was going to say that's the obvious Wohlers type question for today would be who should be the first Australian in space.
Well, I think there's a possibility to use that as a Wohlers after 7.
Yeah, why not?
Because we're going to play a bit of William Shatner, who had his mission delayed, talking about him going to space. So
apparently Stephen Marshall suggested Dan Cregan.
I think that'd be very popular.
We know you're excited about the speakership, Dan.
Yeah.
Something even more exciting to come up. We're going to place you in a small capsule and blast you in we're going to blast you into orbit.
How about this? I'm sure you have sympathy for this. Some of Victoria's most notorious criminals are on a hunger strike.
Oh, I didn't.
They're protesting lockdown conditions. Tony Mockbell has reportedly not eaten for at least 5 days.
Well, Tony Mockbell looks like he shouldn't have eaten for 5 days. He could afford to.
Craig Minogue, the man convicted of the 1986 Russell Street Police Complex bombing, has also gone 5 days without food. I know. Can you just hear the outpouring of sympathy?
Fire.
The Herald Sun says the pair on a hunger strike, upset about being locked in their cells at Barwon Prison for more than 24 hours at a time. They're also reportedly protesting about lack of access to telephones or Zoom in lockdown. I mean,
Zoom, well, they got important meetings.
Your heart breaks, doesn't it?
Tony Mockbell, you remember Tony Mockbell. He was a bit of a lockdown haircut pioneer 20 years before the pandemic even started. He had that sensational sort of weird comb over when they caught up with him in Greece, wasn't he? He was hiding out.
Yeah, it's funny what happened. You just have... You're not arguing from a position of strength about your freedoms being taken away when you're in maximum security prison, are you?
Oh, I would have thought if you're complicit in bombing a police station too.
Yeah, it makes your case complicated.
It does. And, the Victorian government, cash-strapped as it is, they could probably save money by not feeding these people that often anyway.
SA's public hospital doctors will take a stop work action today after the Marshall government's rejection of a new enterprise bargaining agreement. Doctors want a pay rise of 2 to 2.5% and action to address excessive workloads and fatigue. The Salaried Medical Officers Association, David Pope, says the government needs to be held responsible.
It's got to be that the people making the decisions that lead to these situations are held accountable for these types of situations. So if a truck driver is forced to work very long hours, then it's not just the truck driver that's in trouble, it's the truck driver's boss.
Hey, a couple of texts here, one quite clearly pointing this out. First Australian in space, guys. I think Andy Thomas may have claimed that already. Of course, we meant second Australian in space. Great graduate from the University of Adelaide. Rob suggested on the Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line with the moon rover. This is a cracking idea. Call it the Monaro rover as a salute to Holden.
Oh, that's a great idea.
See, what we actually need the moon rover to be given a bit of Hindley Street cred, where the front seat of the moon rover, aka the Monaro rover, should be tilted back on a 45-degree angle, so that when you're driving the moon rover, you look like you're doing, laps of Hindley Street back in the good old days of Flash Gelati, where you'd crank up the music, put the seat right back, make sure you had a bit of Brill cream in your hair, and rock out while just looking at people. I mean, there's not many people to look out on the moon.
I would have thought that is the reason behind the mission. To replicate that behaviour on a sort of lunar body. Wednesday is the day, 17 is the top, 6 mils of rain. Not as much rain tomorrow as we were expecting yesterday. 17 the top tomorrow with up to 15 mils of rain. Now a bit spills into Friday with 4 mils of rain and a top of 18. Saturday 17, and then it starts getting nice to really nice. Sunday 20, Monday 25, and Tuesday 27 degrees.
Hey!
The passing of someone close places unique stress on family and friends. At this time, Farrell and O'Neill Funerals are here to provide reassurance and peace of mind. Farrell and O'Neill offer creative guidance and advice to tailor a service that best honours your loved one. Whether a large gathering or a small, intimate service, Farrell and O'Neill share their generations of experience in tailoring a unique and meaningful farewell. Proudly SA family-owned and operated, because it's personal.
They say I'm a bit of a drainer, energy waster. When people say that, I just switch off. Apparently they want a fridge freezer now. They give me this wanted gone look. They didn't want a fridge freezer when I froze the veggies. If they head to wantitgone.com.au and get Mattress Recycling Australia, I'll happily go. Just leave me in the driveway for contact-free collection and head to wantitgone.com.au or call 82 80 8700.
Now, did you know that Regrow Australian-made products are now proudly stocked in all Foodland stores?
Yes, Regrow's three-step treatment program helps rejuvenate, revitalise and regrow hair.
So if you search Regrow Hair Clinics on Facebook, you'll see their happy customers absolutely raving about them. They say things like, my hair has never felt and looked so good, and the results speak for themselves.
That's what they say. Regrow's products can assist in the treatment of hair loss, dermatitis and dandruff using 13 active natural ingredients. I won't list all of them. Here's a couple, though. Saw palmetto. Didn't make the product, is one of the ingredients.
Yeah.
Caffeine for DHT blocking, biotin and niacin. They're your protein rebuilders, which, as you know, David, are massively important.
They are, certainly in the hair department. And what about this? All Regrow products, they're vegan, they're cruelty-free, so no chimps or baboons were harmed in the making of this excellent product. And also made with oxygenated rainwater from the Gold Coast hinterland. How tasty does that sound? So drop into your local Foodland, start your journey to strong, healthy hair before summer.
No one likes to wait, especially if you're waiting for something really amazing, like a new Mazda. Lucky, you won't have to wait too long at Mawson Lakes Mazda. Right now, you'll find new stock and demos right across the range, which means there's no compromise. You'll get everything you want and love in your new Mazda. Get behind the wheel of your dream Mazda sooner. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
If you're building a home, the Selector Homes Display Village is a great place to start. Your ideas and imagination will flow. There's nothing else quite like it in Adelaide. Different homes for different lifestyles, all in the one location. Walk through the sanctuary. It's simply stunning, with an incredible Jarrah facade, polished concrete floors and a sensational use of space. Explore the Selector Homes and Building Solutions Display Village, Port Wakefield Road, Burton. Visit selectorhomes.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Most people I know think that I'm crazy.
Need more living space or storage? Visit olympicindustries.com.au. Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
28 minutes after 6. It was a big night in Parliament, big night in sport as well. So at 15% on selected Asco cooking appliances at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, the home of Mr Dishwasher. Andy Ruzzion's in the studio to take us through it. Andy, good morning.
Hello. The Socceroos lost last night to Japan 2-1. It was an enjoyable game. Japan was certainly up for it. Got a bit of excitement for the Aussies with this moment. Aiden Hristich scoring from a free kick.
It is going to be Aiden Hristich! In off the crossbar, Australia all square, cracking free kick by Hristich. They didn't need the penalty. It's all square at 1-1.
Ultimately, it ended 2-1. 2 goals scored by Japan's best on ground last night, as is Beich, the Australian fullback, who kind of watched one go through to the defender, and then the other one was an own goal, which he couldn't do much about, being a bit unkind. But a tough night for Beich, tough night for the Socceroos. But our early wins, will they have you buoyant that we're going to be okay in this group?
I don't know about okay. I still think being a game clear of Japan with what we've done through 4 games puts us in, we're favourite to make it to through the top 2. We haven't played a game in Australia yet either.
Yeah, and there's no confirmation, but we're hearing they're probably going to start playing our home games back at home. We have 6 games left in this stage of the World Cup qualifiers. We play Saudi Arabia twice. They're the top of the group, and we play Japan again once. Those 2 teams play against each other. A long way to go, but we're in a good spot. The Crows get their man, Jordan Dawson, for next year's first round pick, which is Melbourne's first round pick. Sydney stuck to their guns, held out, and ended up getting a worse deal for it.
They really did, unless they think Melbourne aren't going to come top 2 next year. But great work by the Adelaide Football Club. They got their man.
They did, and still a long way to go before the draft, so we'll see if there's any more moves, but they'll be happy with Jordan Dawson. More sports news last night. Lucy's broken her wrist playing netball.
Oh, no. She's out there.
She's broken it. It's actually broken.
We think it might be fractured or broken.
Is there anyone who can tell, beyond like someone standing on it and seeing how loud she yells? Is there like a test if there's a broken bone?
I played rock, paper, scissors with her earlier, and she could only do paper, so it was an easy win.
Yeah, well done. Catch her when she's most vulnerable.
The other thing I want to talk about, and this is very exciting, a 5AA special this Thursday and Friday. Conversations with Cornsey with Russell Ebert, one of the GOATs.
Wow.
Really looking forward to that 2-part special. You will hear the first snippet of that later on this morning on the Breakfast Show.
Awesome. Nice work.
Excellent.
Save up to $300 on selected Asco dishwashers. Adelaide Appliance Gallery, the home of Mr Dishwasher.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers and 17 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Hit. Car scuffle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services, RAA approved crash repairer.
Dan Cregan has gone from Liberal to Independent to Speaker of the House. He was voted in last night after a so-called coup instigated by Labor and selected crossbenchers in State Parliament. It comes after legislation to allow independents to hold the position past the lower house. Mr Cregan mentioned his predecessor Josh Teague while addressing the House for the first time.
I will well and truly serve this Parliament. It is my hope that I'll bring honour to the proceedings here, and I take this role, as I say, without any criticism of the former Speaker, but simply because a call has been made by Parliament to send a Speaker to preside who is not serving the interests of the Executive.
South Australia's health workforce is bigger than ever. The Independent Auditor-General's latest report shows there are over 1,000 additional frontline health staff in the state than last year. Health Minister Stephen Wade says the government is investing record amounts into the system.
We're now hit $7.4 billion in ongoing funding and again another $3 billion in capital funding, including the new Women's and Children's Hospital.
But public hospital doctors are not happy. A dispute over pay and working conditions will be the subject of a stop work meeting this morning. New South Wales is testing out its new COVID isolation system after someone on a flight from Sydney tested positive. Nine's Helene Lambetsis has more.
People on board Qantas flight QF509 from Brisbane to Sydney on Saturday morning have been deemed close contacts. Those who are fully vaccinated only have to spend 7 days isolating at home. If they then test negative, they must stay away from hospitality venues and high-risk settings for the following 7 days and work from home where possible. But people who are unvaccinated, partially vaccinated or who got their second shot after the exposure date will still do 14 days of isolation.
There's been an extraordinary meeting of the G20 overnight. World leaders say an agreement to work with the Taliban in an effort to get aid into Afghanistan does not constitute recognition. Prime Minister Scott Morrison has urged leaders to maintain pressure on the Taliban to live up to all the commitments they've made. Australia will embark on its first mission to the moon before the end of the decade. The federal government has signed a deal with space agency NASA to include an Australian-made rover in a future lunar mission. It would be tasked with collecting soil from the moon. Mysterious radio waves have been detected in the centre of the Milky Way. An international team of astronomers has identified 6 signals over 9 months, but have so far failed to detect the source. The Sydney Institute of Astronomy's Professor Tara Murphy says one of her PhD students made the discovery.
The project I run is looking for objects that change very rapidly. We call them transient. And when an object changes very rapidly, it means there's some kind of extreme physics going on in that object. So we were looking for things like this, but this was a particularly unusual one.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Save up to 15% on selected ASCO cooking appliances at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
Here's Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. Swans wingman Jordan Dawson will be a Crow next year. Adelaide and Sydney finally striking a deal for the 24-year-old. The Swans have accepted Adelaide's future first-round pick from Melbourne. Meanwhile, the Socceroos have gone down to Japan 2-1 in the World Cup qualifier. A late own goal deflection by Zitch Beige, costing Australia. Coach Graham Arnold says the loss hurts.
It was an exciting game. You know, at the end of the day, we're a bit unlucky that, we hit the post and, we conceded a deflected goal. But at the end of the day, I thought, the boys did a great effort.
To cricket, and the Redback season resumes this morning in the One-Day Cup. Fast bowler Brendan Doggett will debut against his old side Queensland. Doggett telling Rowie he's excited about this season after making the switch to South Australia.
I'm a Queenslander through and through. I grew up in central Queensland and absolutely love Queensland, but the opportunity came up to move here, and obviously the Redbacks are rebuilding, and it would be, I think it was just a good opportunity to be part of something special, and hopefully we can bring some success back into South Australian cricket.
Finally to baseball, and the Houston Astros lead the White Sox 2-1 in Game 4 of the American League Divisional Series. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
Heading for a top of 17 today with showers. The showers will continue tomorrow, 17, then Friday showers easing in 18. Right now it's 12 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Need a shed strong enough to resist the harsh Australian climate? Visit Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
24 minutes to 7, police and weather coming up shortly. We'll take you through the rain when it's going to get here. If it hasn't already in your area, it was just spitting out in the west, but it's going to do a whole lot more than that over the course of the next 48 hours. We'll keep you across it. And then after 7 o'clock this morning, we'll take you through the shenanigans in Parliament here in South Australia overnight. I'm not sure we've had a night quite like it. It was pretty extraordinary. And a little bit later in the morning, the Lord Mayor will join us, Sandy Verschoor. In a moment, we're going to head to the UK and catch up with Vincent McAviney. Massive report just came out there in the last 12 hours with regard to, we're going to see a lot of this happen, not just in other places around the world, but in Australia too, with regard to the handling of the pandemic in the early days, and it's totally scathing, as you might well imagine.
Yeah, well, given the numbers that we saw in the UK, dramatic health stories unfolding here within the 5AA studio as well during the news break. Just had a chat with poor old Luce, in a bit of a trademark Australian gallows humour. We were, Andy, in the sports spot, we were just lightheartedly having a gag about her spraining her wrist at netball last night. The poor kid, it actually sounds like it might be worse than that.
I think it is.
I think Luce is going to take an early mark this morning, and rightly so. My son Jim, he broke his wrist playing handball in the school quadrangle a few years back, and it's not something that's discernible. So I think she's quite rightly going to go and get it checked out. So yeah. Andy, just the guys now, just Andy, Will and Dave, muddling on in the absence of Luce. Hope she's okay.
Yeah, get well, Luce. All right, let's head to the UK now. Vincent McAviney, our UK correspondent, joins us. Vincent, good morning to you. We were just talking about this report that's come out into the British government's handling of the pandemic in its early stages. What did it have to say?
Yeah, it said that it was one of the country's worst public health failures. It talks about it as the biggest peacetime crisis in the last century, and it says that whilst the vaccine program has done very well compared to the majority of other countries, the delay in introducing the first lockdown because politicians were very frightened, and some scientists as well, about the impact it would have, ended up costing thousands of lives. And of course, in this country, we lost roughly 150,000 lives during this period.
Those numbers are just staggering. In terms of the politics of it, Vincent, what do you think it will mean for Johnson? Is there a chance that all of this is going to end up landing squarely in his lap?
Potentially. There is anger from some of the families of those who died that the report is possibly trying to deflect some criticism of that high death count by saying, but look, the vaccination program has gone so well compared to so many other countries. But I think over time, when there is more time, this is only actually a look into what happened in England, not the entire UK. There will be more reports coming down the line where they will look at the approach taken across the United Kingdom, comparisons as well between the differing approaches taken by the countries, what worked best, and that could become a problem.
How does England stand up to comparison with like other European countries? I know that, a lot of other places took an even more liberal approach. In terms of deaths as a proportion of population, how does it look?
It is very hard to compare like for like, but with some equivalent countries, it is generally accepted that the UK did worse, that we had higher COVID rates, that we had a higher COVID death rate. But then again, that we did do better when it came to speedily rolling out the vaccine.
It's always been chatting with you, Vincent, over the course of the last 18 months. Has at times been like peering a bit into the future for us here in Australia. And right now, the discussion in this country is about when can borders reopen. Sydney and Melbourne are opening up a little bit on the eastern seaboard as we approach Christmas, and vaccine rates hit a decent level. But I just wonder, as of 13th of October in the UK at the moment, living with Delta and the vaccination rates that you guys have there, what are the sort of restrictions that are on the things you can do at the moment?
There's pretty much none. I mean, I'll give you an example. I went to a 300-person wedding the weekend, which was the first wedding I've had since all of this started. And pretty much at the moment there is nothing. Of course, if you do get a kind of contact from someone, you are meant to get tested and then try to quarantine as well. But at the moment, we are encouraged to wear masks as much as possible. But life has very much gone back to normal here, and it's about living with the virus and making sure that you've had your vaccines and that you're now getting your boosters.
It's interesting. It's still very much a live debate about what happens as we approach 80%, which seems to be a threshold marked by at least the federal government, but the states are doing their own thing. Always appreciate your insights, Vincent. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Vincent.
Thanks.
Vincent McAviney, our UK correspondent. Big thanks to Wayne, who's called in and alerted us to a 5-car pile-up on the Southern Expressway.
Jeez.
5 cars. It's just happened, he says. We're going to chat with SAPOL right after the break, so we'll bring you up to speed with the latest from their perspective, but just be wary. That's happened. There is rain. There is some drizzle about the place, so be careful. We're not exactly sure where on the expressway that's happened, so...
more details with the police in a minute.
Take care. 18 minutes to 7, and time to check traffic. Is your BMW due for a service? We'll book your service today. Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road.
At Maylands, expect delays on Portrush Road at McGill Road for the intersection upgrade. At Crafers, speed restrictions on the freeway in both directions for works. One lane is out there, and so expect delays through there. And at Northfield, expect delays on Grand Junction Road at Hampstead Road for works affecting both directions. Starting to pick up city-bound Salisbury Highway between Port Wakefield Road to Kibben Road for works. The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery early bird deadline is midnight Friday. Win $1 million. Visit homelottery.com.au. Licence M14053. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The Barossa Valley is a great place to visit. You have history, wine, great food, nature, wine. What if you had one extra draw card? Your parents. Retirement units are available in safe and connected neighbourhoods just an hour from the city. We're talking about newly renovated 1, 2 and 3 bedroom homes from around 180k to 300k. They get the vine change and you get another reason to visit the Barossa. Win-win. Talk to your parents today about Barossa Village. Find out more at barossavillage.org.
The Isuzu D-Max is born to tow. You can go your own way. Go your own way. With 3.5-ton towing capacity, trailer sway control and a reversing camera as standard across the range, now's the time to hitch up the boat, caravan or trailer and hit the road in the powerful 3-litre turbo diesel Isuzu D-Max. Search Isuzu D-Max.
Now, you might think it's hard to get excited about shelving, but not when you're talking about Sharman Shelving.
No, it's very exciting stuff. Any time is a good time to get in touch with the excellent people at Sharman Shelving. Get your workshop fitted out.
They can do everything. Workbenches, shelving, cabinets, tool trolleys, open angle shelving, stainless steel benches, steel cupboards, van and cool room shelving. You say shelving, they say we can do it.
That's right. You say shelving, I say tomato. Jump onto their website, take a look, visit their Facebook page. You'll be blown away with what the team at Sharman Shelving can do, and they make the whole process so easy. I think I need a new shelf. I might go and get another one.
You can never have too many.
You can't.
Because you'll have stuff, you'll find stuff to put on them.
Robbie's got about 4, I think. All these different modular sort of setups. It's superb.
That's
magnificent. He puts all his fishing gear in it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So if you're in business, Sharman Shelving, they should be your first go-to for a workshop fit-out because the possibilities are endless. Ask Christine or Bill for a free measure and quote. Jump online at sharmanshelving.com.au or call into 412 North East Road, Windsor Gardens.
Now at Harvey Norman, amazing value in the Australian-made Sleepmaker Dakota Queen mattress, $799 each. Massport Weekender 2-burner barbecue, great deal, only $349. Get 60 months interest-free, no deposit, no interest with 60 equal monthly payments on participating Latitude credit cards and receive a bonus gift card up to $500. New customers must apply in store or online and be approved for a Latitude Go MasterCard. Minimum finance $1,000. Interest applies if you do not comply with T's and C's. Fees exclusions apply. Now at Harvey Norman.
The team at Parafield Airport Liquor Store know their stuff. So much so, they've become pals with boardrooms and bars all across Adelaide. Sure, they can provide the favourites for your next function or event, but it's their unique range of beers, wines and liquor that'll make everyone ask, where'd you get this great drop, that sets them apart? And there's so much more than just a liquor store. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
Need more living space or storage? Visit olympicindustries.com.au. Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
15 to 7. So we've got some further information on this 5-car crash. Northern Expressway is where it is. We've had another chat with the person who's alerted us to it. Really appreciate you calling in with the latest. 8223 0000 is the number. If you don't have time, you can always text us on the Telstra Storm Mount Parker text line 0448 08 1395. So 5-car crash on the Northern Expressway. We appreciate any more details as they do come to hand. SAPOL are on the line. Senior Constable Peter Squire joins us. Peter, has this come across your radar yet?
Yeah, so it's just hit our screen. So we've got I think maybe a 4 or 5 car crash, and that's on the north-south motorway, and that's at Croydon. And I believe that the road is now down to 1 lane. That's for southbound traffic.
Geez, we'll keep an eye on that later in the show. Also, Pete, what about these handbags that were stolen at a break-in at a Norwood store?
Yeah, so just before midnight last night, police saw a small silver hatchback, and it sped away from a store on the Parade. It turned left onto George Street. Now, the front window of the store had been smashed, and a number of handbags were stolen from inside. The car was seen travelling east on McGill Road, over Glenburn Road, and then north on St Bernard's Road before police terminated the pursuit. That was for safety reasons. The car was last seen in the Hectorville area. There are at least 4 suspects. They were seen in the vehicle, and they were believed to be teenage boys. And anyone who witnessed any suspicious activity in the area is police asked to call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
And also a crash yesterday at Campbelltown caused some traffic chaos.
Yeah, this was quite serious. It was about 4:10 yesterday afternoon. Emergency services were called to the intersection of Northeast Road and Glenburn Road at Campbelltown. That was after reports that a car and a motorcycle collided. The motorcycle rider, a 47-year-old man, and his pillion passenger, a 54-year-old woman, they sustained serious injuries and were rushed to the Royal Adelaide Hospital, and they're in a critical condition. Thankfully, their injuries no longer considered life-threatening. And the driver of the white Holden sedan, a 17-year-old girl and her 14-year-old male passenger, they were not physically injured in the crash. The intersection was closed for a number of hours while police examined the crash scene. We're just asking anyone who witnessed the crash or may have dash cam footage and has not yet spoken to please provide their details via Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
Great stuff. Thank you for that, Peter. Senior Constable Peter Squire from SAPOL. Let's talk weather. Tom Bowick, Senior Forecaster at the Bureau. Tom, when does the real rain begin?
Yeah, David. Well, look, it started to a fair bit of metropolitan area has had at least 1 millimetre of rainfall, so we're starting out there, and we've had 2 millimetres at Crayfus West and 1.8 millimetres at Aldgate. So, look, there is going to be further shower activity during the day. Front sort of has sort of on our doorstep at the moment, and there's some showers to follow that. So, I think there'll be a few more millimetres around during the day for the metro area, and that will tend to ease as we move into particularly the later part of the afternoon. So there'll be a bit of a gap when I don't think there's going to be too much around sort of later today and into the evening period. We've got a maximum of 17 degrees today for Adelaide, Elizabeth, Glenelg, Noongar, and 15 degrees for Mount Barker. Now, for Thursday, we're still not expecting as much rain as we sort of initially expected with the low pressure system just moving a little bit further away from Adelaide. But having said that, there's still a very high chance of there being showers around and the chance of a thunderstorm. So at this stage, we're forecasting a rainfall range between 5 and 15 millimetres for Thursday, 17 degrees for maximum. Then Friday, still some showers around in the wake of that low, 18 degrees. Conditions look like drying up mostly for the weekend. Still a possible shower for Saturday and 17, but up to 20 degrees for Sunday and partly cloudy. Then a warming trend for early next week. So the changeable weather sort of continues. 25 for Monday and right up to 27 degrees next Tuesday, guys.
Good on you, Tom. Senior Forecaster Tom Bowick from the Weather Bureau. It's coming up to 10 minutes to 7.
I'm excited about this weather. I'm looking forward to the next couple of days.
Because you've been in the garden, so this is just what you required, isn't it?
I fertilised the lawn yesterday.
Oh, you couldn't have timed it better.
Yeah,
it's as though you knew.
And wait. Well, I did know because I listened to the weather.
Well,
we all knew. That's one of the informative parts of this excellent segment.
Well, I'm glad you're getting something out of the program.
Yeah, that's right. I learned so much coming in here.
10 to 7.
I found out who the new speaker was when I arrived this morning.
There you go. It pays to listen. Right. Coming up in a moment, we're going to give you a chance to win tickets to the Best of SA dinner. If you've got nothing on tomorrow night,
get along.
We've got an idea for you. Come along and have dinner with us.
And you see us wearing suits.
I know.
That hasn't happened since Peter Shearer got involved. Come to think of it, I might give him a ring.
10 to 7.
Your new house build is almost complete. Got the new keychain ready for the keys. Even picked out the welcome mat. And what about the Poly rainwater tank and pump? You know, the mandatory tank and pump that's required before your handover? Just get in touch with FIVEaa Tanks and you'll have it in 2 weeks. That's a lot quicker than the others. You can choose your size, shape and colour to suit all suburban homes and have it delivered free within 2 weeks. Visit apatanks.com.au.
Maintain your luscious green lawn this summer with an irrigation health check from Ken Hall Plumbers. We'll repair your irrigation system, sprinklers or controller so you don't waste water or money. Give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers, 8364 5855.
Do you experience discomfort from varicose veins? Maybe you've got leg or ankle swelling, pain, heaviness or fatigue, or even leg pain, aching and cramping. If so, you may be suffering from chronic venous insufficiency. Nearly 25% of adults are afflicted with venous reflux disease, with 17% of people being diagnosed and only 1% receiving treatment. And unfortunately, without treatment, the problem can get much worse, even impacting your day-to-day life. So if you're having trouble with varicose veins, ask your doctor about treatment options and see if the radiofrequency ablation procedure could be right for you. Don't put up with painful varicose veins. Talk to your GP today. A message from Medtronic.
Shh. Can you hear that? Hang on. Here it comes. The new Kia Niro has landed. Available as a hybrid, plug-in hybrid and full electric. It's Australia's broadest electric SUV range, and they're all available for immediate delivery. Technology moves fast. Meet 3 ways to catch up. The new Kia Niro electric SUV range. Check with your local Kia dealer for details.
Kia, movement that inspires.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Need a shed strong enough to resist the harsh Australian climate? Visit Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 to 7. Premier of South Australia, Stephen Marshall, will join us after 7:30 this morning. Andy's just had a chat with him. His voice is starting to come good. Or maybe he doesn't have a choice given what's transpired in Parliament overnight, but we'll be chatting with him about that and more after 7:30. And remember, we had outstanding questions for him from yesterday with regard to how borders were going to work over Christmas, because it appeared at very least like there was a disconnect between he and the health department. So,
part of the problem at the moment is a bit of a who's on first scenario when you've got the police commissioner talking about stuff, Nicola Spurrier talking about stuff, the Premier talking about stuff, and you've got the head of the health department appearing before parliamentary estimates. So if you ask 4 people the same question, invariably the answers aren't always going to overlap. But when you're talking about something like, seeing your loved ones you haven't seen for 2 years, it takes on a greater sense of import, I guess.
Vincent McAvenny in London a few moments ago tells us right now, you can barely tell the difference between now and pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel like we're close to that.
I was talking to my mate who lives in North Carolina, and he said, and he FaceTimed me on Saturday, and I was walking into Aldinga Foodland.
Yeah.
And I answered, and I had my mask on, and I went, mate, I can't talk to you unless I'm wearing a face mask. And he goes, you guys are a nation of ponces. He goes, what has happened to the country I love? He goes, we have more cases in Chapel Hill County per day than you do in the entire country of Australia, and we're walking around doing whatever the hell we like. So, anyway, whatever.
The old wrestling the crocodile image is taking a real beating worldwide, hasn't it?
Yeah, Mick Dundee.
Yeah, you call that a mask?
That's right.
Now, Best of SA is about celebrating and profiling some of the great brands in our state. And today, this is a great one. We're celebrating Care Alert. So we've got a Care Alert pack to give away, plus 2 tickets to our Best of SA dinner, which is tomorrow night. So if the diary's empty tomorrow night, Mike and Darren Steele, we absolutely love them. 8223 0055. Over 100,000 people enjoy peace of mind with a Care Alert smart dial at Care Alert, proudly South Australian. And if you're watching on the 5AA Facebook live stream, you can watch Jane's visit with the great people at Care Alert.
Welcome, Best of SA. I've got Darren with us from Care Alert Smart Dollar. How are you?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good to be out here again, and I thank you again for your wonderful support and our support of yours. And you've got a new product, the Care Alert GPS.
We sure do. This is the Go Anywhere system. This is fantastic. Take one of these with you. If you run into any trouble, push the big SOS button, and what it does is it calls the family or friends or whoever's programmed into it, and it also sends the GPS coordinates of where that person is so you can arrange help.
So I'm a fisherman. I could take this out on a charter, and when the snapper are on, I just go ding, and it's a GPS.
Mate. It'll send you the coordinates of exactly where you are.
I might have to have 2 of those, Darren. Now, that's the Care Alert Smart Dollar. That's the absolute ripper.
This is it. This is the at-home system. Everyone loves this. Probably our biggest seller. That's our different pendants we've got available. This one can be either monitored or non-monitored. This is the device they need in their home. If there's any trouble, any issues, they can just push their pendant and this will call out and get help. So yeah, that's our different pendant. I mean, check out this big button here,
What's that one? For emergency only?
Yeah, that's come straight from Trump's desk, mate. That's his big button that he had. So,
or someone ate it back. You just give it this one here. How good's that?
Sorry about that.
Hey!
What the heck's going on there? Rowie, my mate, I knew he was coming here. Hey!
You need to put your pendant on, mate.
Oh, thanks very much. Best midfielder Port Adelaide's ever had, mate. He was the greatest. We could have done with him a few weeks ago, I'm telling you now.
Do I look like Ollie Wines, the Brownlow medalist?
Mate, I'm sorry about that. Who let you out? Right, it's time to head back home. I think Mum's blended up the food for you. So let's shuffle you out of here and...
He's a buckle wheel.
Port Adelaide.
Sorry, mate.
Care Alert Smart Dialer. Darren, once again, thank you. It is a family business, we can see that. Geez, that was a bit awkward for him, wasn't it? What's he doing? We're in Port. I thought he was a Crows man.
Yeah.
Care Alert Smart Dialer, they are just fantastic supporters of us for our Best of SA. Make sure you support them. And that GPS one, hey, what's that over there? It's mine. S1, hey, what's that over there? It's mine.
So you may think the people that make and run a device that's about saving lives might be a bit boring and dour. Not the case.
Not at all.
They like to have a good time.
Well, you got to,
Yeah.
Don't laugh, you cry.
Exactly. Let's get to
and
some
look,
text.
less chance of doing yourself a mischief if you've got one of them.
Exactly right. You can afford to have a bit of fun. Telstra Storm Out Barker text line 0480813995.
I like this one here from Andrew. This is in relation to the goings-on North Terrace last night. My neighbour can currently set up surveillance cameras peering into my backyard, but I can't get a politician interested in making a law to prevent this. However, when the law suits them, bills can be passed overnight.
Amazing how quickly it can all happen.
That's right. Mark from Glenside talking about sending Australians into space. Mark reckons old Moonface himself, Bert Newton, has to be the first Australian.
Moonface
second Australian
on the moon.
Yes, second Australian.
Second Australian. Well, we're talking first celebrity on the moon.
Yeah.
Because we're going to play a bit of William Shatner after 7 o'clock. And so
first Australian celebrity.
We need our first celeb.
Yeah.
That's famous for something else, and we just send him to the moon just because we can.
I reckon Jane Riley would be a good choice. Jane would just have a... because everything's wonderful when you're Jane.
Jane would talk
She's the happiest person in the world.
Oh, everyone by the end of it would feel like going to the moon.
If ever there were going to be reluctant aliens thinking, are we going to pop out from behind this rock? Jane would be able to sweet talk them.
She'd coax them out.
Yeah.
8223 is the number for the Best of SA dinner tomorrow night and the Care Alert Smart Dialer Care Alert Pack. 8223 is the number. And we will award that in just a moment.
There's some serious analysis too from listeners on the old Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. Guy in Highgate says, "Good morning, lads. Well, it's on again. The SA Libs are about to implode as per usual, and a reasonably competent government may well be about to defeat itself at the polls. Premier Marshall has indeed failed to embrace all wings of the party." That's from Guy.
That text from Andrew a moment ago is, I think that's the spot-on takeout for most people who don't care about the politics of the politics, and it's that the entire parliament can be coordinated if it is to vote on something that's A, in the interest of parliamentarians, or B, in the interest of scoring a political point. But if it was Andrew's case of, there was surveillance on his home or some other private local matter, it's the wheels that we always get told the wheels move slowly. It's a tough process. Lobby the parliament, go through the various stages. You've got to speak to people. There's been two glaring examples of it works one way if you're in the joint and one way for everyone else.
Yeah, where the approach can be, actually, this is quite serious.
Yep.
I need to become the speaker.
Alita from Clemzig is the winner of the tickets. We'll catch you tomorrow night at the Best of SA dinner, Alita.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers and 17 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Peak hour hit too hard? For an RAA-approved crash repair, contact Premier Panel Services.
Dan Cregan has a new job. He was voted Speaker of the House overnight. Mr Cregan, who quit the Libs less than a week ago to become an independent, succeeds Josh Teague. Labor and several crossbenchers joined forces last night in what's been dubbed a coup after a bill for an independent Speaker passed the lower house. Designer handbags have been stolen at Norwood. Mimco on the parade was targeted shortly before midnight. Senior Constable Peter Squire says patrols followed the getaway car for some time.
The car was seen travelling east on McGill Road, over Glenburn Road and then north on St Bernard's Road before police terminated the pursuit. That was for safety reasons. The car was last seen in the Hectorville area. There are at least 4 suspects. They were seen in the vehicle and they were believed to be teenage boys.
Investigations are continuing. South Australian Public Hospital doctors will hold a stop work meeting this morning. Doctors want a new 3-year deal addressing concerns about excessive workloads and fatigue, along with a pay rise of 2 to 2.5%. The Salaried Medical Officers Association's David Pope says urgent solutions are needed.
The issues around addressing the workload, employment contracts which are very short, and just issues which largely affect our junior doctors who are under enormous pressure at the moment to trying to keep the health system going with very limited resources.
6 LGAs in northern New South Wales are back in the border bubble with Queensland. As Nine's Mia Glover reports, it includes Lismore and Broken Hill.
It means residents in those areas are back in the border bubble, able to re-enter Queensland for an essential reason like work, schooling, or a healthcare appointment, but they must have at least 1 dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. It comes as a group who hasn't had at least 1 jab is reportedly some of our healthcare workers on the Gold Coast, despite Queensland Health mandating the vaccine.
The UK government has come under fire in a new report for failing to manage COVID at the start of the outbreak. Nine's Carrie-Anne Greenbank reports from London.
Families of COVID-19 victims in the UK are calling for a judicial inquiry into the government's handling of the pandemic after the release of an MP's report addressing government failures. The report found decisions on lockdowns and social distancing at the start of the crisis were, in its words, one of the most important public health failures the United Kingdom has ever experienced. It found it was a serious error to not lock down the country sooner.
And Prince Harry and wife Meghan are moving into finance, vowing to change the world by putting money into an investment firm called Ethic. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Save up to 15% on selected ASCO cooking appliances at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
Here's Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. The AFL trade period wraps up tonight. Adelaide and Sydney will finally sign off on the Jordan Dawson deal. The Swans agreeing to receive Melbourne's future first-round pick from Adelaide for the 24-year-old. Meantime, Hawthorn President Jeff Kennett isn't expecting much activity today, although he admits he hasn't heard from the football department.
I have not had anyone in the football department come to me and saying anyone is tradable. I've not heard from the football department at all. If it continues as quietly as this, I would suspect there will be no trades. There may be in the last flurry. I have no idea.
To cricket, and Aussie selectors are toying with the idea of playing 3 spinners at the T20 World Cup. Ashton Agar is hopeful to play with Adam Zampa and Mitch Swepson in the same 11.
We've seen the IPL now that the wickets are getting a little bit tired. We'll probably get some fresh wickets for the World Cup. But it would be really exciting. It was fun to do that in Bangladesh, to have all 3 of us playing, and it made a really good impact on the game.
The Socceroos have gone down to Japan 2-1 in their World Cup qualifier. And finally, in the NFL, the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders has been sacked following reports he used racist and homophobic language in emails. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Is your BMW due for a service? Then book your service today at Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road.
At Croydon, a multi-car crash on North-South Motorway near Hawkers Street. That is affecting city-bound traffic. The roads are wet, so drive to the conditions. Foggy on the freeway above the tunnels, so drive carefully. At Maylands, expect delays on Portrush Road at McGill Road for the intersection upgrade. Starting to pick up city-bound Salisbury Highway West on Port Wakefield Road Road near Kidman Road. Hungry? How about a burrito or bowl from Guzmani Gomez for just $9.90? Pulled pork, grilled chicken, slow-cooked beef and more, just $9.90 on the GYG app. Download the app and order now. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
Showers 17 today, showers continuing tomorrow 17. They will ease on Friday with a forecast top of 18. Right now it's 12 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Need more living space or storage? Visit olympicindustries.com.au. Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Six minutes after 7, sending an Australian-made vehicle to space. That's right. We're going to make vehicles again, or at least one. We'll speak with the head of the Australian Space Agency in a few moments' time as part of a wrap of some of the stories developing overnight throughout the morning. For South Australians, though, there's none bigger than what took place in Parliament late last night. It was a difficult day for the Premier, Stephen Marshall, and his Liberal Party. It started in a difficult way.
A very exciting announcement. The vaccination rate in South Australia is going very well, and plus I just swallowed a fly, and I can feel it at the moment.
He swallowed a fly. He swallowed a fly at his press conference. Things actually went downhill from there because at around midnight last night, the Speaker, Josh Teague, was ousted and replaced by a recently departed Hills Liberal.
There have been 23 votes for the member for Carvel and 21 votes for the member for Flinders and 3 informal votes. The member for Carvel having received an absolute majority of validly cast votes, I declare the member for Carvel to be elected as Speaker of the House.
That's right. Dan Cregan, who joined our program just a couple of days ago, announced then that he was quitting the Liberal Party to run as an independent in the Hills to suit the needs of the Hills people better. Today is the Speaker in the South Australian Parliament, which comes with a nice pay boost and you get a driver. It's a very lucrative position.
Put me down as being slightly cynical or somewhat cynical or perhaps profoundly cynical about this, because I was under the impression that Dan Cregan's decision to depart the Liberal Party was all about a huge matter of principle involving doing the best by the people of the Adelaide Hills. Well, that may still be his intention, but let the record show that the first key beneficiary of his move is Dan Cregan.
It does, and it demonstrates too the hostility of the crossbench. Now they're willing to act quite forcefully within the Parliament. They've ousted the existing Speaker and sided with Labor to put in Dan Cregan. And earlier in the day, Dan Cregan, Sam Dullock and Troy Bell voted with Labor again to set up a select committee to inquire into the conduct of Deputy Premier Vicky Chapman, who of course is a member of the Moderates, perhaps the leader of in the South Australian Liberals, in relation to the Kangaroo Island Plantation Timbers Deepwater Port proposal. That I can't recall a time that there's been a committee set up into the conduct of a minister like this, where it's a member of the government and you've got members of the crossbench that are recently ousted members of that party siding with the opposition to create that committee and that investigation.
Make no mistake, though, 6 months out from an election where the Liberals should be coasting to victory, their first term after 16 years in the wilderness where Labor basically almost collapsed in the end, mired in scandal, everything from Oakden to transforming health. There'd been ministerial scandals involving the former aged care minister, Lisa Vlahos, and so forth. This is a crisis for Stephen Marshall.
Totally.
Because you want to trade on focus and unity. And he should be in a terrific position where we have weathered COVID. Perhaps his focus on COVID is part of the issue here, where he hasn't spent enough time keeping all of these Liberals in the tent. Equally, though, I think one of the galling parts of politics is the degree to which one, as a leader, has to indulge vanity. But, you know, if you don't like it, you're probably in the wrong job. And maybe he hasn't done enough of that.
In the first hour of the program, too, we were alerted to a 5-car crash on the Northern Expressway. Mel has called in with an update for us on it. What's happened there, Mel?
Good morning, guys. Well, I've avoided it by taking the original South Road at Regency Road. So any drivers that are heading south, if you can take that divert down Old South Road, you'll have a clear run. I've got through in less than 5 minutes.
Did you get a sense of what's happened with regard to the crash, or you couldn't see it from the way you went?
None whatsoever. It is really backed up on the top of that South Road motorway. So, but I think there's also another incident going on because I've just seen 2 fire trucks tear down Port Road heading towards the city. So there's something else going on as well.
Okay, Mel, we really appreciate that. Thanks for the update. As always, if you see anything on the road or in your travels, give us a call, 8223 0000. There's going to be an Australian-made rover that's cruising around on the moon, where there'll be much less traffic. Enrico Palermo is the head of the Australian Space Agency and joins us on 5AA Breakfast now. Enrico, good morning to you. How big an announcement is this, that we're going to be building something that's going to be cruising around doing scientific missions on the moon?
Yeah, thank you. This is an incredibly exciting announcement. It's a huge deal. It's a signal that, we're building upon 60 years of being a trusted partner of NASA, that they are working with us to help us work out if we can get some lunar soil and generate some oxygen to develop a sustainable mission for humankind on the moon. It's a big deal.
So tell us about the rover itself. Are we actually going to make it, Enrico? Is that the plan?
Yeah, so the plan is for a consortium of Australian businesses and researchers through what we call the Trailblazer program as part of Moon to Mars to build, design, develop in Australia a small rover that NASA will fly to the moon as part of our partnership.
Who actually makes things like that? I mean, what is it, car companies? Not that we really have any car companies anymore, but who can knock up a lunar rover in their spare time?
We expect to have several applications from around the nation. We have some great expertise in robotics in several of our universities. But importantly, one of the reasons NASA is working with us as a nation, we have world-leading expertise in remote operations of mine sites, of platforms. For example, I'm in Perth at the moment. We operate mines up in the Pilbara from Perth, thousands of kilometres away. And so we have that transferable world-leading experience to how you might operate a rover and eventually other machinery on the surface of the moon.
The Australian Space Agency headquartered here in South Australia, does that mean that the number plate will say the festival state? Enrico, thank you.
Was that a yes?
We'll see.
All right, good. Enrico Palermo, the head of the Australian Space Agency.
Huge opportunity for us to stamp a bit of bogan flair on this vehicle, though. I'd like it to be jacked up at the back a little bit, maybe have a blower on the bonnet.
It needs to be loud.
Yeah.
It needs to be loud.
Big donk.
Maybe
it should be shaped like a panel van.
Has anyone ever done a burnout on the moon?
First burnout in space.
Now, wouldn't that be something
This could be a discussion for Fitzy on Friday. I reckon there's a few people who've plied their trade at the old Silver Sands car park at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Raymond's called in. Hey, Raymond, you've got a view of this crash. What have you seen happen on the Northern Expressway there?
Yeah, so it's I can't remember if it's 4 or 5 cars now, but it was nose to tail. One car is pretty bad. So it's the furthest left lane that is blocked to traffic. 2 lanes are moving, but it is slow going, and traffic, when I got to the tail end of the hold-up, was backed up to Regency Road. So as your previous caller, Mel, said, if you can take the old South Road before getting to Regency Road, you probably will have an easier trip, yeah.
Thank you for that,
Good
Raymond.
advice.
We appreciate it. Raymond from Salisbury on 8223 0000. Speaking of going to space, a man who spent a long time portraying, well, he might be Earth's most famous space captain, William Shatner. He's off to space on Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin spacecraft. It's been delayed for 24 hours due to weather, but it has meant that Bill Shatner's been able to do a bit of media and talk about what he's expecting as a 90-year-old in space.
How wise of you to talk about a piece of cake and the remnants of that piece of cake. This is no piece of cake, but we've delayed 24 hours because of the winds and the enormous concern for our safety, and we welcome that concern. What I also think is important to remember that Jeff Bezos' concept of doing all this is to build industry, homes, to live in close connection with Earth and function close to Earth. And that's a vision that I think is very practical and worth getting behind.
He's going to be on board with the Vice President of Mission and Flight Operations, Audrey Powers, a former NASA engineer and a healthcare entrepreneur. And I'd like to think if anything goes awry, it will be Captain Kirk who does take over.
See, what I'm doing here, Will, I'm just laughing along nervously, so I sound like I'm one of the guys.
Not a Trekkie. I never would have guessed.
I got no idea what you're talking about.
Never would have guessed. You know him as Denny Crane, perhaps more so.
Oh, from Boston Legal?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm familiar with that role. And his singing.
I think
just not the Star Trek.
You know, between...
What are they called? Vulcans?
Vulcans, yeah. That's live long and prosper.
Yes, exactly.
Leonard Nimoy. Star Trek, along with probably Lost in Space, that's your sort of seminal sci-fi. That's where it all started. He was the first. And, you know, they did it on a shoestring budget. You watch some of those old episodes now, and it's extraordinary. But in many ways, from book to screen, launched the genre that is now just part of the tapestry of movies and things we see. They were doing it.
I went through a bit of a Doctor Who phase.
Yeah.
The Tom Baker era.
Yep.
And I think part of the appeal, because a lot of those creatures look like they'd been made for a school, you know, primary school assembly. You know, like robots made out of cardboard and foam and stuff like that. But the scripts and the plots were so good that it all made a kind of sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, they had to. That was a great story.
There's never been a scarier space creature than the Dalek.
Yeah.
Well, I do remember a great pocket cartoon years ago on The Spectator had a group of Daleks and they'd arrived at the bottom of a staircase and one of them went, well, there go our plans for world domination. Exterminate.
There was a great story in the original series because that was, you know, sci-fi and some of the stuff had never been done before. They painted one of the extras green to be an alien and they had to take them to hospital because they hadn't really developed paint that you could put on humans particularly good at that point in time.
Cover them in Dulux woodland grey or something.
I've got a feeling it might have been something like that.
Mission Brown.
17 after 7. Big event coming up on 5AA over the course of this week, towards the end of the week, on Conversations with Cornsey over 2 parts. Cornsey's catching up with Russell Ebert.
The wharf, the sea, the shipping, the wool stores, the grain stores.
You're not a wharfie. You've embraced that culture.
Well, I like it. It's a working man's culture, and that's why I like to see people who work hard and get rewarded for it.
That's tomorrow and the next day with Graham Corns.
It's great that Cornsey, of all people, has done this interview because him and Ebert were sort of, 2 bookends going through the 1970s, playing football together. Huge mutual respect for each other. I think it'll be a phenomenally powerful chat. I can't wait to hear it.
Starts tomorrow, 3 o'clock on 5AA. All right, let's check traffic. We've heard a bit about it out north, but we'll get the big picture thanks to BMW. Is yours due for a service? We'll book your service today. Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road.
A multi-car crash at Croydon on North-South Motorway near Hawker Street causing city-bound delays, so drive to the conditions. A little foggy on the freeway above the tunnel, so drive carefully through there as well. At Crayford, speed restrictions on the freeway in both directions for works. 1 lane is out in both directions. And just be sure to check your speed. Frederick Road, Grange. CanStar Blue has awarded Bow Repairs the award for most satisfied customers in the car tyre retailer category. So if you need tyres, call 132381 or drop in store today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Leon Biner.
Premier Steve Marshall has expressed a view that there should be quarantine-free travel for double-vaccinated visitors in time for the Christmas season. But a senior public servant, SA Health boss Chris McGowan, has put the mockers on this.
9 till 12 weekdays.
The Public Sector Health Unit is doing a pretty good job executing their responsibilities, but it is not their call to make a final decision on how the state is run.
SSA as Leon Biner. SSA as AA.
Exis. EXIIS. You'll find Exis at work in restaurants, pubs, supermarkets, universities, aged care homes, hospitals, councils, wineries and defence. So, what do the Exis team do? Pretty much everything that others don't want to do. The grunt and grime work, the difficult and dirty cleaning jobs. High risk, high levels, confined spaces. No matter what industry you're in, you can count on Exis to keep it clean and hygienic. Exis.com.au.
Early birds win big. Real big. $1 million big. This is your chance to become an instant millionaire. So don't forget to get a ticket before midnight Friday. Plus, your tickets stay in thousands of draws to win luxury cars, great escapes, local experiences, and the $3 million beachfront grand prize at South Brighton. Join the fight and get your tickets now at homelottery.com.au. Licence M144053.
Hyundai Nailsworth don't think a test drive is good enough for you. Oh no, they'd rather you took a life drive. Now what that means is you can call in to Hyundai Nailsworth and you can pick up any car you like and you can do life in it for an hour. Now I've got to admit I pushed the rules somewhat thanks to the excellent Aaron and his hugely generous team out there on Main North Road. I took it for a little bit more than an hour. I pinched one of the new Palisades, absolutely superb family car, and I say that as the father of four. Married father of four, so there's 6 of us and a couple of dogs. I won't admit on air whether we got the dogs into the car or not, but what I will say is that this car is hugely spacious and comfortable. It's big but not boaty. Best safety cameras I've ever seen in a vehicle, and we had a great time taking it for a spin up to the hills. And this is the whole philosophy behind the Hyundai Nailsworth Life Drive concept. Get out in the car and live normal life. Pick the kids up from school. Go shopping, take a run up the freeway if you like, take it home, show it off to the family, make sure it fits under your carport, do all the things that life involves. Now, the great people at Hyundai Nailsworth, they're the only dealers in SA that strictly sell brand new Hyundais, and they're the only people who let you take a life drive. Now, try out the new Palisade, fantastic getaway vehicle for growing families, innovative safety features, spacious interior, available in 7 or 8 seats. Call in a Hyundai Nailsworth, take a life drive, only at Hyundai Nailsworth, 147 Main North Road, Nailsworth.
Let's get business back on track. Let's reopen and rebuild, rehire and regrow. If you're looking to make up for lost ground, Judo Bank is ready to support Australian businesses recovering from the pandemic. So, whatever your business is longing to get back to, talk to your broker or a Judo banker about an SME recovery line today. Judo Bank, boldly backing business.
Eligibility criteria, fees, charges and terms and conditions apply. Visit judo.bank.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
Need a shed strong enough to resist the harsh Australian climate? Visit Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes after 7. After 7:30 this morning, Sean Fuster will join us to go around the courts. Also, the Premier of South Australia, Stephen Marshall, will be on the program after quite an extraordinary night in the South Australian Parliament. Lots to talk to him about on that front, so stick around after 7:30. That's coming up. Let's turn our attention to sport. Secure your next vehicle now with an instant tax write-off before June 30 at North Point Toyota. Last night on the Sports Show, Rowie caught up with Sean Burgoyne and spoke about how close he came to being a Crow.
Could have been a Crow.
I could have been a Crow. They came home to, I was living with Peter at that stage.
Yeah.
Going to Seton High School in year 12, and I think the recruiting staff all came, sat around the table, and they said, we're looking at drafting you with pick 5, I think they had. And I was like, oh, okay, let's talk through it. And yep, and then draft day came and they picked Lawrence Engwin.
No,
big Lawrence.
I've not heard that story.
they picked
Lawrence Engwin.
They picked him, and I got to know him. I got to know him here a little bit.
Yeah.
Over his short career at Adelaide Crows, and yeah, Paul picked me up, pick 12, and yeah, I was pumped to stay at home. But yeah, I could have been a Crow. You'll have to ask the recruiters who were there at the stage why they picked him over me.
Well, I would be doing that immediately after this interview. I've not known that.
Well, this is a funny story as well. So I came through the AIS under 16s program as well, and a part of my training was the program was to spend a week at an AFL club, and I spent a week at the Adelaide Crows. I think in my 15th or in my 16th year or 17th year. So myself and another player rocked up to Adelaide Crows, and my first day of training, I was there, and Mark Bickley met me in the car. Well, he didn't meet. Oh, he accidentally stumbled across me. I don't think.
So it's Bix's fault.
He saw me lurking at the front door with a bag. He goes, "Are you waiting for someone?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm training here for the week." And I trained with Adelaide Crows for an entire week. They mustn't have been impressed by me because I didn't. I trained with them for a week, and then they drafted Lawrence Engwin.
So what idiot did that? Hearing every single word of that made me feel both embarrassed and furious.
I didn't know that.
That is wild. Surely, who would have been in charge of that? Who would have made that decision?
I've got some names in my head, but I wouldn't want to wrongly apportion blame. So I don't want to start blaming people.
That's the worst miss in AFL history, surely.
is it criminal malpractice in like AFL club recruiting if you draft
grotesque
Lawrence Angwin instead over Sean Burgoyne, who turned out to be only one of the greatest players ever, who was training at the club in your own backyard? I didn't need to hear that this morning.
No.
Good news for the Adelaide Football Club overnight. Of course, they agreed to a trade in principle with Sydney to secure Jordan Dawson, who'll be a fantastic pickup. Him on one wing, Paul Seedsman on the other is an embarrassment of riches, frankly. It's going to cost the Crows the future first rounder that they acquired from Melbourne, which is good. The Crows stuck to their guns and got their man at a good price. Sydney, ultimately, it was that or pre-season draft, so they didn't really have a leg to stand on. But you need some intestinal fortitude to see it through to the end. Today is the final day of the trade period. There continues to be little noises and whispers that the Crows might have something else in the works. I haven't been able to exactly nail down what that is at this point in time, but if there is anything that's been bubbling on beneath the surface, today's the day it will come out. Of course, last night too, Socceroos heartbreak in Japan, losing 2-1.
Not the end of the world, but
not the end of the world.
And they weren't rubbish.
No, they weren't. I mean, Japan were a world-class side playing for their lives. They'd had a shocking start. They're at home.
With a crowd.
They lose this, and essentially their dream of automatic qualification to the World Cup is done. So they came out and played like it. Socceroos conceded early, managed to get one back in the second half through Aiden Hrustic from a set-piece direct free kick. Then I think we actually did the very Australian thing and tried to push on for 3 points, where I think a lot of other countries with longer footballing histories and cultures would have said, you take a point in this game all day long.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know whether to be proud or angry about it, because there's a naivety to it. But look, anyway, so hindsight's always 20/20. They go on and grab a winner, and everyone's talking about Graham Arnold being a genius because we're in the World Cup. So
if you like goalkeepers, and I always like watching the goalkeepers because that was the position I played as a lad. It was a great game to watch from a goalkeeping perspective because both the Japanese keeper and our own Matty Ryan had sensational games.
Absolutely, Matt Ryan was.
He took 2 saves in half a second.
Oh, that was just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. He's a star. 27 minutes after 7, more from Rowie tonight. Secure your next vehicle now with an instant tax write-off before June 30 at North Point Toyota.
The St John Christmas Home and Lifestyle Lottery is South Australia's biggest ever home lottery. With a $10 million prize pool and more than 30,000 prizes, there's a 1 in 7 chance of winning a prize. The $4 million luxury grand prize package includes a Walkerville home, 2 Porsches, 2 Tag watches, a premium wine collection and $250,000 in cash. Buy your tickets at stjohnlottery.com.au and support St John SA today. Licence number M14082.
When you want a retractable door screen, you want uninterrupted views and natural ventilation combined with protection from insects. You want Phantom Screens. Our custom-made retractable door screens can be colour matched to your existing decor and span up to 7 metres wide. And they disappear out of sight when not in use. A screen that's there 1 minute, gone the next. From the hills to the coast and everywhere in between, let the fresh air in with Phantom Screens. Get inspired online at phantomscreens.com.au.
Now, the landmark location of 88 O'Connell was coming to life. It came to life last week at the sensational launch. Now, this is an opportunity to tell an entirely new and unique story. It's architecturally designed by Woods Bagot, developed by the good people at Commercial and General. 88 O'Connell, seriously, it's one of the most remarkable developments to come on the market in a very long time.
Yeah, 88 O'Connell encapsulates this concept of connected living. So you live there, but you've also got access to swimming pools, a gym. You've got indoor and outdoor dining all in the building, a fresh food marketplace, retail shopping, and you can choose 2, 3, 4 bedroom apartments with exceptional views of the ocean, the hills and the city.
The renderings of it in the paper last week look superb. You can see them online too. And best way to do it, though, is get in there yourself, just up in North Adelaide, 88 O'Connell, because their display suite is now open. Features a fully furnished 2-bedroom apartment. Take the time to wander through, and you can really appreciate this incredible development, the impressive design, and the fabulous lifestyle. At 88 O'Connell, North Adelaide, more than an address.
It's often when you're in the middle of something, the moment of inspiration strikes. Like right now. The Mazda Moment mid-season event is now on. So ask your Mazda dealer about exceptional October value and see how you can save. Like great drive-away deals for ABN holders across the entire Mazda BT50 range. The Mazda Moment mid-season event. Visit your Mazda dealer today.
Hi ladies, Heather from Joyreen Fashions. Do you get frustrated with the lack of choice to fit the mature figure? With 50 years fashion experience, we can definitely assist you in this area. We have a wonderful choice of spring and summer fashion and one of Adelaide's largest selections in casual day wear through to special occasion wear. Come in early and let's help you find that special outfit for any occasion. Joyrene Fashions for mothers and daughters, 491 Port Rush Road, Glenunga.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers and 17 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Hit. Car scuffle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services, RAA approved crash repairer.
The state's public doctors will walk off the job this morning as part of an industrial dispute with the government over pay and conditions. Doctors want action to address excessive workloads and fatigue, along with a pay rise of 2 to 2.5%. The Salaried Medical Officers Association's David Pope says many are at breaking point.
It's often our junior surgeons, people who are operating major procedures, and they're operating through the night and then the next day and then seeing patients in clinic and trying to do all that safely. And as you say, they're human beings. It's just not possible for that to occur.
It was a hive of activity in state parliament overnight. Dan Cregan, who quit the Libs less than a week ago to become an independent, has ended up as Speaker. He succeeds Josh Teague in what's been described as a late-night coup involving Labor and several crossbenchers. The development coming after a bill for an independent Speaker passed the lower house. Mr Cregan says it's about being an impartial Speaker who won't serve the interests of the government. A smash and grab on the parade overnight with designer handbags stolen from Mimco. The store at Norwood was targeted shortly before midnight. It's believed 4 teenage boys were involved in the robbery. The getaway car was last seen at Hectorville. A caravan has been gutted in an early morning fire at Edwardstown. The alarm was raised on Dunorlan Road just before 5 a.m. No one was injured. The cause of the fire is undetermined. The Nationals are being assured Australia's move to net zero emissions will not hurt regional Australia. Cabinet will today decide how the country will drastically cut emissions and protect the economy. The deal will be put to the Liberal and National Party rooms next week. Federal Energy Minister Angus Taylor says any changes will be sensible.
To get to net zero, you don't have to eliminate all your emissions. You have to make sure that you're abating them, that you're carrying them in your soil, that you're sequestering them under the ground. And so those industries can continue to have a great future, and they absolutely will.
Australia's first mission to the moon is set to expand the country's growing space economy. Under a new deal with NASA, leading businesses and researchers will be given $50 million to develop a semi-autonomous rover. It will be flown to the moon as early as 2026, tasked with collecting lunar soil. A US coroner has revealed how murdered blogger Gabby Petito died. Nine's Amelia Adams has more.
Gabby Petito was strangled to death. Her remains lay undiscovered in the Wyoming wilderness for 3 to 4 weeks. The Teton County coroner releasing new details about the 22-year-old's last hours as the manhunt continues for her fiancé Brian Laundrie. The couple had been on a van trip across America, documenting their adventures on social media when trouble struck. Laundrie returned home to Florida alone, then vanished himself. Gabby's body was found at the Grand Teton National Park on September 19. Brian Laundrie remains the key person of interest.
And the chicken crimpy has topped a survey by Arnott's as his favourite shapes biscuit. Pizza came second, followed by barbecue. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Save up to 15% on selected Asco cooking appliances at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
Now here's Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. Swans wingman Jordan Dawson will be a Crow next season. Adelaide and Sydney have finally come to an agreement for the 24-year-old. The deal will see Sydney receive Melbourne's future first-round pick from Adelaide. Meantime, new power assistant Luke Kelly has told Rowie he's looking forward to developing young players at Alberton.
You make prelims for a reason, so it's really just trying to value add and do what I can, whether it's helping these young guys, take the next step and work in with how to integrate with the older boys as well.
The Socceroos dropped their first game in World Cup qualifying, going down to Japan 2-1. Australia conceded a late goal. Aiden Hrostic says it's a shattering way to end a winning streak.
If we would have come off with a 1-1 draw, you'd accept it, but copping a goal in the last few minutes of the game does hurt, especially on the run that you're on. It is what it is. We've got to keep our heads up and continue and just do what we've been doing.
To basketball, the Brooklyn Nets have stood down Kyrie Irving until he's vaccinated against COVID in accordance with New York's strict COVID vaccination mandate. And finally, the Redback season will resume this morning against Queensland in the One Day Cup. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Is your BMW due for a service? Then book your service today at Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road.
At Croydon, a multi-car crash on North-South Motorway near Hawker Street causing city-bound delays. It's foggy on the freeway above the tunnel, so drive carefully. At Crayford, speed restrictions on the freeway in both directions. Expect delays for works. One lane is out there. Starting to pick up city-bound Salisbury Highway between Port Wakefield Road near Kidman Road. That is due to works. Invoicing, but instantly. Receipts, but organised. Business is better with online accounting from Xero. Try free for 30 days. Search Xero. That's XERO. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
Heading for a top of 17 for your Wednesday with showers. The showers will continue tomorrow, 17. Friday showers easing, 18. Right now it's 12 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Need a shed strong enough to resist the harsh Australian climate? Visit Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
24 minutes to 8. Well, the rain is here. We knew it'd be a wet couple of days.
It was actually quite nice 2 hours ago. It was quite warm coming in,
wasn't
but it has really gone to poop in the last hour or so. Very overcast, very wet, a dark and dirty day outside.
Well, they might all be words that the Premier would use to describe yesterday. Things went awry. Capped last night by change to the Speaker, the Liberal-backed Josh Teague, replaced by former Liberal Dan Cregan. He and a host of crossbenchers voting with the Labor Party to install the member for Cavell as the new Speaker. Premier Stephen Marshall joins us now on 5AA Breakfast. Premier, good morning.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, David, and good morning to all your listeners.
Premier, have you lost control of the Parliament and have you lost control of your party?
Well, certainly it was a very extraordinary scene last night where within minutes the Parliament decided not only to change the Constitution of Australia with virtually no consultation whatsoever, Constitution of South Australia, and install a brand new Speaker. Now, I think it was an extraordinary scene, the likes of which I certainly haven't seen in my almost 12 years in the Parliament.
Dan Cregan has billed his departure from the Liberal Party as a matter of principle on behalf of the people of the Adelaide Hills. Do you see it as that?
Oh, come on. In what way were the people of the Adelaide Hills advantaged last night by Dan Cregan getting a big pay bump, a car, a driver, big office, extraordinary new powers? How do they benefit whatsoever? Look, the reality is that he's been an ambitious person. He didn't like being on the backbench. He was made the chair of the Public Works Committee. That wasn't enough for him. He's now the Speaker and a big pay increase. But the people of the Adelaide Hills voted for him as a Liberal. They handed out how to vote cards for him. They had an opportunity to elect an independent person in the seat of Carville at the last election, but they didn't want that chaos. But that's what occurred last night. Just within a few days of Dan Cregan deciding to become an independent, within an hour of coming into the Parliament as an independent, we saw him vote with Labor consistently right throughout the day, and ultimately around midnight last night he's been installed as the Speaker.
What's your message to those Liberals in exile sitting there on the crossbench that have now voted, as you say, with Labor, not just on this, but on things like the parliamentary inquiry into the conduct of your Deputy Premier, Vicky Chapman?
Well, my message to them is this is an extraordinary situation that we find ourselves in with a global pandemic. We need everybody in the Parliament focused on getting South Australia through this. That's been the focus of my Cabinet, my government, working with the people of South Australia, with SA Health, with South Australia Police. And I feel very proud of the way that South Australia has performed. We've done extraordinarily well compared to just about anywhere else in the world. We're doing well economically. But we've still got 8 or 10 weeks now, which are going to be pretty difficult as we get to that 80% double vaccination rate for 16 and over, and we relax those border restrictions. And that's what people in South Australia want their politicians focused on, not about cars, drivers and the privileges of being the Speaker.
Wearing your old business hat, though, Premier, bosses are often measured on their staff retention rates. Do you think that there is anything in your style or perhaps the distractions of COVID for the past 18 months where you have failed to invest enough time and energy into consulting and listening to your MPs? Because a pattern has begun to emerge here.
Well, look, look, maybe you're right. I don't come from a political background, but what I can say is I've been 100% focused on the coronavirus. Maybe I should have spent more time on the politics, but the reality is the people of South Australia elected me. We've got through an incredibly difficult period with bushfires, and then with the coronavirus, we've still got some pretty tough times ahead. My focus is not only on getting through the coronavirus, but having a really strong economic rebound, a jobs rebound, and opportunities rebound on the other side. That's what I'm focused on.
Have you got any concerns about how functional Parliament's going to be now with these ex-Liberals and independents now apparently so willing to work with the opposition?
Look, people want stable government in South Australia. You vote for an independent and you actually get chaos, and we can see that now in the South Australian Parliament with people putting the community in South Australia aside and voting for self-interest. Josh Teague was a great speaker, a huge intellect. He certainly didn't do the government's bidding. I was on the wrong side of his positions on many occasions, but the reality was they decided that they needed to have somebody more independent. Well, let's see. I just hope the Parliament can now focus on the things which are important to the people of South Australia. That's what I'm going to be focused on every single day between now and the next election. And then let's let the people of South Australia decide. Let's see if they want to have continuing chaos in the Parliament, a change of the Constitution in the late hours of the evening, or whether they actually want continuing solid government in South Australia, which is delivering good outcomes in terms of jobs and an extraordinary outcome in terms of the coronavirus pandemic.
We've received lots of texts over the last couple of days from listeners a little bit confused about what appeared at first blush to be a different position that you and the Chief Executive of SA Health held with regard to quarantine for double-vaxxed people entering South Australia, having travelled over the Christmas period. What is the official position? Is there one right now? If you're double-vaxxed, will you have to quarantine when you come back into SA once we hit 80%?
Look, I think the vast majority of double-vaxxed people will come in without having to do quarantine. But if you are coming from an exposure site or an area where there is a very significant cluster, well, of course, we're going to have to put controls into place. But my message is very clear. It's shared by Chris McGowan, the Chief Executive of SA Health, but also the Police Commissioner and Nicholas Spurrier, and that is we want to get back to as normal a Christmas as possible this year, and that means moving away from whole-of-state lockdowns. Doesn't mean that there won't be some testing requirements or quarantine requirements from time to time as the risks dictate, but by and large we'll be in a very, very different situation than we are now.
Premier Stephen Marshall, thanks very much for joining us this morning on 5AA. A lot of texts on the text line, folks. We're not ignoring them. We'll get to them later on. Divergent views about that. Some people saying Dan Cregan's got his snout in the trough. Others are saying that the Premier took his eye off the ball. Plenty of time later in the program to sift through your views.
All right, let's go around the court. Sean Fuster is in the 5AA Breakfast studio with us, thanks to Crime Stoppers SA and Police Credit Union, supporting better communities, crimestopperssa.com.au. Sean, good morning to you.
Morning, gents, and a very special good morning and thank you to everyone who packed the Alma Tavern out at Norwood last night for the first ever completely sold out live show of Just Lawful.
Oh, wow.
The City of Norwood, Payneham and St Peters invited Daniel and I to be part of the 2021 Raising the Bar event. And so we actually hosted a live show talking about the secret origin of Just Lawful, how we came to come up with it, and it was a fantastic group. I got appointed dictator. There was a groundswell of support.
There's a lot of them about at the moment.
Well, there was a groundswell of support for me being appointed. Now, let me get this right. Both Attorney General and Chief Justice all in one. So like I said, the separation of powers is over in a ditch somewhere dying in shame.
You know, sort of taking a lead from Queensland there under Sir Joe.
Let's get to some of the court action that's taken place since we last spoke. One of the issues, and something that came up on our program, was the penalty for a meth-addled driver. You covered this case in depth. Let's just set it up for our listeners.
Well, actually, I didn't cover this case in depth. This one was covered by my colleagues, but my understanding is that we have a 7-year sentence for a meth-addled driver, as he said, who killed 2 brothers who were obviously from the same family, leaving this family absolutely bereft. So 2 dead, 7 years. What's difficult about this case is that a 7-year sentence, I think most people would agree, for killing 2 people is fairly low. But in terms of the context of causing death by dangerous driving, as we've talked about on this show and as we've talked about in the Advertisers' Road to Justice campaign, that's actually double the average you get for killing a single person. So you can see why the judge has gone to 7 years. The judge has looked at the precedent, looked at the math and gone, well, if 3-ish years is what you get for killing one person for death by dangerous driving, then 2 deaths must equal about 7 years.
The weird thing with this category of crime, Sean, is there are some cases I look at that, in a funny kind of a way, my heart almost breaks for the driver, where I've seen people who are, maybe absent-mindedly adjusting their sat-nav on their dashboard and have briefly taken their eyes off the road, not to defend that kind of behaviour, but crikey.
That feeling of it could have happened to anyone.
Versus recidivist, hopeless, dysfunctional, bludging idiot meth user driving on the wrong side of the road while under the influence of crystal meth, someone who's taken no steps to get off the drug, goes to court with the sob story, oh, well, bad stuff's happened in my life, Your Honour. This is where the divergence in the circumstances is so vast. But, yeah, when I read that report, I thought, perversely, that actually feels like a long sentence for these types of crimes.
Yeah, it's horrible to sit there and think that, isn't it? That you've been exposed to the court world for so long that 7 years feels right. But to your point, David, in South Australia, we have 3 laws. We have aggravated causing death by dangerous driving, we have causing death by dangerous driving, and we have driving without due care. Each carries a different penalty. Driving without due care is, I looked down at my sat-nav at the wrong time, I changed the radio station, I was momentarily distracted, and death resulted. Death by dangerous driving and aggravated death by dangerous driving, that's where the mix happens. You'd think that an aggravated case of death by dangerous driving would be something like really intoxicated, really speeding, really doing the wrong thing, and death by dangerous driving would, as a result, be the midpoint between those two. Sort of the comparison between murder, manslaughter, and causing grievous bodily harm. That's not how it's sentenced. There seems to be a complete bleed across from aggravated death by dangerous driving to basic death by dangerous driving, and there's no sentencing standard been set. And this is why, we've been campaigning for so long to try to make judges and legislators understand there needs to be a differentiation in these cases.
A violent aircraft passenger had his behaviour explained by he was drinking to cope with anxiety.
Timothy Kenneth Hawkes, who decided to be a bit of a turkey on air.
Yes. So everyone's naturally sceptical. Maybe let me approach it this way. We're all very sceptical whenever a defence says, I was in this predicament because I was having a bad day. I was feeling like this was one out of the box. This was not me. How did that evidence get argued in this case? Did you buy it? What the court did in part, it sounds like?
You know how I always say there's no such thing as an unbiased journalist. There's only journalists who remove their bias and do the job properly. So as someone who has suffered a panic attack on a flight from Melbourne back to Adelaide, and didn't decide to drink to excess, and didn't decide to tee off on anybody sitting around him, scratch the head of the people in front, argue with the passengers, slap the legs of female passengers, punch a hostie in the face, I can tell you that I found it very difficult to accept that.
Okay.
This was put forward because Timothy Kenneth Hawkes was trying to leave Melbourne in a rush. He had, been working there in the mines. He needed to come home before the Iron Curtain came down for the COVID border closures in May. Before he got on the plane, decided to drink 3/4 of a bottle of Jack Daniels along with several beers, and made an absolute turkey of himself on the plane.
That's more than enough.
More than enough on its own. It's a shame it wasn't wild turkey, given that he was a hawk in the air, but I digress. This is where that comes in. I've told you guys and the listeners many, many times before, there's no such thing as the drunk's defence anymore. But it seems to be increasingly pervasive that there's the drunk's excuse.
Yeah.
You can't get off of your crime simply because you were drunk, but you will have a more moderate sentencing approach taken. The federal DPP said, look, plane is a enclosed area. People have no way of getting away from a violent passenger. Hawkes was punching the walls of the plane.
Oh, God.
Which, can't do any damage, but is very disconcerting.
Yeah, totally.
20,000
feet.
I
didn't. Well, until you said it, I wouldn't have been 100% sure it could do no damage.
Well, nobody is in the moment. I only think of that because of Mythbusters. But anyway, let's say for a moment that Mythbusters is correct and you can't do any damage to the plane at that height. You would still not feel good on an enclosed space with somebody punching the outside of your pressurised tube.
Totally.
And so the DPP Commonwealth said, look, he needs to go to prison. There needs to be a clear message sent that this kind of behaviour cannot be tolerated on a plane. And the magistrate said, well, look, I understand that and I agree. However, this was self-medication through alcohol for an existing mental health condition. I'm going to give him a second chance. Now, mercy is great, but at the same time, does that stop the next person from saying, I'm feeling a bit wonky before I get on the plane?
How does the magistrate do that, though? Like, is the magistrate making that on the basis of a law, or is that just the magistrate's opinion, particularly if the DPP has said we need to make an example of this person?
Well, it's the magistrate weighing up that submission from the DPP with the psychological evidence that's been presented. So, of course, Hawkes has brought forth a mental health report saying, I have this long history, this is what was going on with me at the time. But there's nothing that says, this person has been self-medicating. There's no evidence of that. He was self-medicating on this day. The Magistrates Court, of course, is a court of summary jurisdiction, so it's sit down, listen.
There's a personal responsibility point to be made here, because with some of these issues involving things like depression, there's a real chicken and egg debate to be had, because there are clearly some cases where people self-medicate because they're depressed, but I think there's also cases where people end up suffering from depression because they're pissed all the time.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Sean, great to have you in as always.
Thanks, guys.
The Dictator, the Attorney General.
El General
and Chief Justice.
Yeah, and Chief Justice.
The al dente presidente.
To the tooth, as they say.
The leader in absence of Just Lawful, which is on Sunday night. Good to have you in, Sean.
Thanks, guys.
All right, it's 9 to 8 and time to check traffic. Thanks to Glenelg BMW. Is yours due for a service? We'll book your service today. Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road.
A few hot spots out there at the moment, including a multi-car crash at Burton Bolivar Road near Burton Road, and also at Croydon North-South Motorway near Hawker Street as well. That's causing city-bound delays. It's foggy on the freeway above the tunnel, so drive carefully. Starting to pick up city-bound South Road between Days Road to Regency Road, and also Salisbury Highway West between Port Wakefield Road near Kidman Road. That is due to works. Right now at Porto, get a delicious pita pocket with 2 crispy chicken strips, coleslaw, a regular chips and a $3.90ml drink for just $9.95. Order in-store or take away now. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hi, it's Eddie May from NRG Solar. Did you know solar is still the cheapest form of power in South Australia? So if you're not going solar, you're paying too much for your electricity. Jump on board now before the government rebates fall again at the end of December. Act now and you can save thousands of dollars on a typical system tailor-made for you. If you wait until next year, those savings simply won't be there. Get in touch today. Visit nrgsolar.com.au because solar is all we do.
For 37 years, Steinborner Automotive has always been well worth a trip. They are Adelaide's small SUV specialists. Located in Gawler with late model Tucson, ASX, RAV4 or the Forester, Trax, Kona and more available now. Perfect for the growing tribe with lots of space, safety features and economical to run. With 60 SUVs in stock, Steinborner Gawler has you covered. View all our used vehicles at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth a trip.
When it comes to big cleaning projects, you can rely on the team at Exis. From kitchen exhaust and cool room cleaning, HVAC and ventilation systems, medical and COVID cleaning, pressure cleaning, gutter cleaning, and more. You'll find Exis at work in our hospitals, supermarkets, restaurants, pubs, takeaway venues, councils, universities, food manufacturing, defence, and sporting venues. If your business requires a standard of excellence in all things cleaning and hygiene, get in touch with Exis. EXIIS. Exis.com.au.
Quality appliances make life so much easier. I love a good appliance. So if you're in the market for any new kitchen, laundry, or outdoor appliance, you'll be pleased to know that Spartan Electrical's once a year renovator sale is on this weekend.
I used to live literally metres from Spartan Electrical, their Torrensville store. Absolutely fantastic place. So much, like a lot of affordable stuff, a lot of crackerjack high-end stuff too, but if you want to save money, this is the time to do it this weekend. This sale is big. We're talking Adelaide's biggest appliance sale, which is why it's on for 3 days only.
You'll get huge store-wide savings on some of the biggest names in kitchen, laundry and outdoor appliances. And like David said, there's a reason this sale is just once a year, because you won't get better prices on appliances anywhere else in Adelaide this weekend.
That's right. So head in store for huge savings. Plus, how's this? You can make a proper afternoon of it because there's a barbecue, there's kids' treats to keep the whole family happy, cooking demos and more. This sale is more than just Adelaide's best appliance deals.
So get down to Spartan's once a year renovator sale, 3 days only, starts Friday in Campbelltown and Torrensville.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, we have specialised in commercial and residential property management. But above all, we specialise in people. helping to make life easy for property investors and the tenants of their properties. Everyone is treated with integrity and respect. That's the Lynn Andrews way. For commercial and residential property management, we are here to help. Visit lynandrews.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Need more living space or storage? Visit olympicindustries.com.au. Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
5 to 8, the rain has started in Adelaide. It's been going for a little while now. It seems like, looking at the forecast, to go for a little bit longer. But Amelia Mulcahy from 7 News has the specifics for us. Morning to you, Amelia.
Good morning, guys. What a jaggy start to the day we've got. We've got showers rolling through the city. We've seen a front move through this morning. So we're just looking at these showers on and off today. They're looking less likely later in the day. But we could see the odd rumble in the mix as well, maybe 2 to 6 millimetres worth, and much cooler to a top of just 17 degrees. It's 11 degrees at the moment in the city. Tomorrow's looking like the wettest day of the week. But it's now looking like the best falls will be a little further north of the city, though, than first thought, around our mid-north and Flinders. The system driving it all is a deep low-pressure system, and it's just changed course ever so slightly, which, you know, on a map doesn't look like much, but when you're talking about kilometres and kilometres, it makes a difference. So those areas of Flinders and mid-north could see, you know, anywhere from up to 25 to 30 millimetres worth of rain. We're looking at around 5 to 15 about the city, but still some pretty wet conditions tomorrow as well. Maybe the chance of a thunderstorm again, and that low-pressure system's really going to cause some havoc as it heads east towards the eastern states as well. Friday, we've just got showers sort of easing, you know, maybe 2 to 4 millimetres worth if we're lucky, and then possibly a shower lingering into Saturday as well. Long term, we could be looking at more wet conditions. Yesterday, the Bureau released its revised forecast for a La Nina weather event. It's increased the odds of us seeing one to about 70%. If we do see one, it will form next month. Now, that's sort of a weather event that generally leads to wetter conditions about northern parts of the country and eastern parts too, but it can impact SA as well, so that's one to keep an eye on. But I will leave you on this note, this part of the forecast. Next week, we're looking warmer and drier, so, you know,
good.
Fine Sunday, 20 degrees, 25 Monday, thanks for coming, and 27 Tuesday.
Beautiful. Looking forward to that. Thank you, Amelia. Amelia Mulcahy from 7 News.
Warm soil, that's what we need.
Can't wait.
Get the chilies in.
John Blake is on the show now. We'll go behind closed doors after 8:30 thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
The Office of the Premier of South Australia, the Honourable Stephen Marshall.
Yes, Julian.
Morning, big swinging dictator. Would you like a cup of tea?
What?
I said, would you like a cup of tea?
No, the other bit.
So I'll bring it in?
Oh, no, yeah.
Right.
Tea lady! Boy, a lot of people are impressed with you, Mr. Big Bulge.
Oh, really?
Yes, they think that you might be, you know,
What?
growing a pair.
What?
Well, you know, the way you announced we're having a normal Christmas and all that.
Oh, well, yes.
And that vaccinated people could come here and not have to quarantine.
Yeah, that'd be great for people to...
Very tough stuff, Premier.
Well, I suppose.
Especially when SA Health said the opposite.
Well, no.
People like it when you stand up to the bureaucrats, Premier.
Well, I wasn't
They think you might just be getting a little bit tired of licking SA Health's kneecaps all the time.
I was never licking dead
And that
meat.
you're an elected leader and a bit more important than Nicola Spurrier's bum boy.
Oh, Julian, I was never...
Grant Stevens' golden retriever.
I was and am the Premier of this state.
Of course you are, Premier, and more people are impressed that you might be getting sick of being ordered around by a bunch of power-hungry, unelected public servants.
I wasn't being ordered
It was very impressive, Premier.
Yeah, well...
Some might even say sexy.
No, they wouldn't say that.
No, you might be right there.
Oh.
Time to take back control, Premier.
Yes, I think you're right.
Be the man you were elected to be.
I am the man.
Bugger SA Health.
Bugger them.
Lead your people across the desert to prosperity.
I'll lead them.
Show them leadership.
I'm their leader.
Show them the bulge in your pants.
Oh.
Oh, a bit too much.
Little bit, yep.
Welcome John Blake coming up after 8:30 when we go behind closed doors.
SportsMed provides patients with state-of-the-art healthcare for their hips, knees, feet, ankles, shoulders, elbows, wrists and hands. Here's Dr Claire Bolton with more.
As an orthopaedic surgeon, I'm focused on delivering exceptional patient care across a range of treatment options, including robotic surgery. We're committed to innovation because we want to give our patients choices in their individual treatment plans.
All your treatments, all your care, one place. SportsMed. Visit sportsmed.com.au.
Are you looking to build your forever home? Would you like to age in place? Or perhaps you or a loved one is living with a disability? Design for Life is an initiative by custom home builder Normus Homes, giving you the opportunity to design and build a home to suit your specific needs without compromising on style. Normus integrates innovative changes today for enhanced livability tomorrow. To learn more about Design for Life, visit normushomes.com.au.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
Online, on DAB digital radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers and 17 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Peak hour hit too hard? For an RAA approved crash repair, contact Premier Panel Services.
Premier Stephen Marshall has launched a blistering attack on Liberal defector Dan Cregan. Last night, with the help of Labor and the crossbenchers, he ousted the Libs' Josh Teague to become the new Speaker. The Premier was scathing on 5AA Breakfast this morning, saying Mr Cregan only wants to further his own political career.
In what way were the people of the Adelaide Hills advantaged last night by Dan Cregan getting a big pay bump, a car, a driver, big office, extraordinary new powers? How do they benefit whatsoever? Look, the reality is he's been an ambitious person. He didn't like being on the back bench. He was made the chair of the Public Works Committee. That wasn't enough for him.
The state's public hospital doctors are not happy. A dispute over pay and working conditions will be the subject of a stop work meeting this morning. The retention of QR code data is in the spotlight. The Auditor-General has found in some cases backups of people's check-in data are being stored beyond 28 days. The public has been told the information is destroyed after 4 weeks. A new report has found serious government failures in the UK's handling of the pandemic. Nine's Carrie-Anne Greenbank reports from London.
The UK government's failure to do more to stop the spread of COVID-19 in the early stages of the pandemic was one of the nation's worst ever public health failures. That's the finding of a new report conducted by MPs, which found the delay in introducing the first lockdown likely cost thousands of lives. A full public inquiry into the government's handling of the pandemic is expected next year.
And London's Riverside fireworks on New Year's Eve have been cancelled for the second year in a row due to the pandemic. Australia will embark on its first mission to the moon. The government has signed a deal with NASA to build a semi-autonomous rover to collect lunar soil. $50 million in grants is being set aside to attract businesses and researchers to develop the technology. Australian Space Agency Deputy Anthony Murfitt says the rover could fly within 5 years.
We know Australia has this capability. NASA has asked us to deliver this capability, so we want businesses and researchers to come together and show how we can transfer that capability in areas like the resources sector and bring it into space.
Mimco on the parade is missing some stock this morning. Shortly before midnight, the front window was smashed and handbags stolen. The designer goods were loaded into a getaway car. It's believed 4 youths are responsible for the smash and grab. It's been revealed US travel blogger Gabby Petito died of strangulation. It's also been determined the 22-year-old passed away 3 to 4 weeks before her remains were found in a Wyoming national park. Coroner Dr. Brent Blue says the autopsy process was extensive.
Included a whole-body CAT scan, examination by a forensic pathologist, an examination by a forensic anthropologist, and toxicology evaluation. We've pretty much covered all the bases.
Gabby's boyfriend Brian Laundrie remains the only person of interest and is still missing. 21,000 California homes have had their power shut off after wildfires and strong winds swept through the state's north. The blaze has closed off parts of the 101. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Save up to 15% on selected ASCO cooking appliances at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
And it's over to Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. The AFL trade period wraps up tonight. Adelaide and Sydney will finally sign off on the Jordan Dawson deal. The Swans agreeing to receive Melbourne's future first-round pick from Adelaide for the 24-year-old. Meantime, GWS forward Bobby Hill remains hopeful he can make his way to Essendon. Hill's manager Colin Young says a late move can't be ruled out.
Certainly if he was out of contract, I'd be more confident saying it'll be done. I just think if Essendon can deliver the right picks for GWS, I would hope the trade would get done. Hopefully that's the case and hopefully it gets done.
The Socceroos have gone down 2-1 to Japan in their World Cup qualifier. A late own goal deflection by Aziz Bage costing Australia. Coach Graham Arnold says the loss hurts.
It was an exciting game. You know, at the end of the day, we're a bit unlucky that, we hit the post and, we conceded a deflected goal. But at the end of the day, I thought, the boys did a great effort.
To basketball, and the NBL says 99% of players have had at least one dose of the COVID vaccine. League Commissioner Jeremy Loliger told Rowie he expects fans might have to be vaccinated to attend games this season.
Quite expectant that the majority of venues will require patrons to be vaccinated, but we don't want to necessarily step across the toes or step on the toes of the regulatory bodies in each state.
Finally, to baseball, and the Houston Astros lead the White Sox 6-1 in Game 4 of the American League Divisional Series. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Is your BMW due for a service? Then book your service today at Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road.
A multi-car crash at Burton Bolivar Road near Burton Road and the same at Croydon North-South Motorway near Torrens Road. It's causing city-bound delays there. At Crayford, speed restrictions on the freeway in both directions. Expect delays for works as one lane is out. Staying a bit up at the moment, city-bound South Road between Days Road to Regency Road. And be sure to check your speed, Salisbury Highway, Wingfield. Shopping around for the latest 5G phone? At Optus, you can get the best price guaranteed. Visit Optus in-store or check out the Optus 5G phone price match online today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
Heading for a top of 17 today with showers. The showers will continue tomorrow, also 17. Then they'll ease on Friday with a top of 18. Right now it's 11 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
We've all been on the road trip from hell. Car breaks down, map says go this way, but you went that way, and countless "are we there yet?" The same can be said for home renos. Nobody wants a nightmare on their way to a stunning new kitchen or bathroom. So if you want everything to go according to plan, go with Buy Urban. They've always believed the journey is just as important as the destination. Buy Urban Bathrooms and Kitchens, Adelaide's home renovation experts. Visit buyurban.com.au.
It isn't waste until you waste it. That's the catch cry from an amazing company called Eco Waste Solutions. Eco Waste Solutions is a hard waste recycling facility, not a dump, located at Williston. They'll take everything except hazardous waste and food scraps. They'll take your waste bricks, your mattresses, tyres, soil, timber, steel, concrete and more. Plus, if you pre-sort your load, you receive a 50% discount on disposal fees. Google Eco Waste Solutions Williston for more.
Right now it's mates time at Toyota Material Handling with their Ultimate year-end event. Choose from their massive range of market-leading Toyota forklifts, plus warehouse sweepers and scrubbers, lift platforms, skid steers and more. You need it, Toyota Material Handling has it. And purchase any new product for the chance to win one of 2 Hilux Workmate utes, valued at over $40,000. For the ultimate year-end event, check out toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. T's and C's apply. Ends December 31. SA licence number T21/1273.
Need more living space or storage? Visit olympicindustries.com.au. Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
9 minutes after 8, breaking at 8 coming up in just a moment. We'll wrap the extraordinary events overnight in South Australian Parliament shortly. Play you a bit of our chat with the Premier Stephen Marshall. We'll play you a bit from inside the chamber when Dan Cregan was sensationally elected to replace the outgoing Speaker, Josh Teague. Not that Josh Teague knew that he was outgoing yesterday, but that's what transpired at around midnight last night. We're also going to chat with Peter Malinauskas, get his thought in just a moment. Chaotic scenes. In fact, the Premier admitted as much to us a short time ago. So we'll play that for you coming up shortly. We'll also have the latest on a shop that got robbed, a Mimco bag shop on the parade in Nord that got
good handbags,
quality handbags.
My daughter loves them. Bought one for
they're hugely popular.
Yep.
And well, clearly they are. Because someone decided to rob the joint. We'll cross live to the scene.
Get a job,
the latest
folks.
in just a moment. Yeah,
seriously,
exactly right.
Experiment with paid labour.
It's fulfilling. Gives you purpose.
Gives you a sense of purpose.
Exactly right. And then after 8:30 today, the Lord Mayor will join us, Sandy for sure. We'll talk about the future of the remnants of racing here in South Australia there at Victoria Park.
Ye oldie V8 racetrack.
Oh, do you remember when?
That's right.
Time for Breaking It 8.
With all the talk about rail in the Adelaide Hills, there's one person who might not have seen the freight train coming, and that is Dan Cregan, the member for Carville. In the last few hours, we have received a number of really interesting messages alerting us to some of the things that Dan Cregan has said in the past. Now, some people might look at this and say, well, that's a bit nasty, isn't it? That's a bit cruel. Well, no, it's politics. Politics is a blood sport, and this is the way it works. The guy was elected as a Liberal. He was helped by the Liberal Party. He's now walked away from the party. He says that he is a man motivated by principle, but the events of last night have made it a live issue as to whether he is a man who is motivated more, in this case, by self-interest, because he's now got the big pay rise, he's got the big car, he's got the big job. And the Liberal Party is going all out to get the story out there that this bloke has in the past said things where he has suggested that he does not abide by or does not endorse or accept the kind of largesse that people sometimes associate with politics. There's copies of his maiden speech flying around. We've been sent copies of it this morning, where it's in passing, sort of apropos of not that much, but kind of funny given that the man is now a disgraced former federal attorney general. He favourably quotes the esteemed Christian Porter in his maiden speech. But more interestingly, and this could well form the basis of what's known coarsely in the brutal world of politics as an SHIT sheet, one of those little dirt sheets that pops up in your letterbox anonymously when the rubber hits the road during a campaign proper, is that we've been told by several sources now that when Dan Cregan was campaigning to win the seat of Carville, he reassured voters up there that he was not interested in taking taxpayer subsidised vehicles or anything like that. It was all about 100% focus on the electorate. Well, whether Dan Cregan likes it or not, this is the space that he's now placed himself in. So brace yourself, folks. It could be a fairly brutal campaign up there in the hills.
30 minutes after 8. Well, let's start the wrap there. And for those that are just waking up to the news, we do have a new speaker. It was a chaotic day in the South Australian Parliament yesterday. It started with an extraordinary development whereby a select committee was set up to inquire into the conduct of the Deputy Premier, Vicky Chapman. That was made possible because Dan Cregan, now Speaker, Sam DeLuc and Troy Bell all voted with Labor to launch that investigation into her relation, her dealings with Kangaroo Island Plantation Timbers, their deep water proposal. That's how it started. Maybe it was a portent of things to come for the Marshall Liberal government, because around midnight last night, this happened.
There being 23 votes for the member for Carville and 21 votes for the member for Flinders and 3 informal votes, the member for Carville having received an absolute majority of validly cast votes, I declare the member for Carville to be elected as Speaker of the House.
So that's Dan Cregan. That's the moment that Dan Cregan was announced as the Speaker in the South Australian Lower House. Here is the Premier, Stephen Marshall, who joined us a short time ago.
Well, certainly it was a very extraordinary scene last night where within minutes the Parliament decided not only to change the Constitution of Australia with virtually no consultation whatsoever, Constitution of South Australia, and install a brand new Speaker. Now, I think it was an extraordinary scene, the likes of which I certainly haven't seen in my almost 12 years in the Parliament.
The opposition leader is Peter Malinauskas. He's called into the program this morning. Peter Malinauskas, good morning.
Good morning, Will, and good morning, Dave.
Peter Malinauskas, this is clearly a political shambles for the government, but at the same time, has Labor helped line the pockets of this bloke? He said that this was some matter of principle on behalf of the residents of the Adelaide Hills. Within 48 hours of leaving, he's now got the plum speaker's job, the big pay jump, the chauffeured car. You've helped him do that.
I think there's something I particularly agree with Stephen Marshall about in terms of his remarks this morning, and that is that I've never seen anything like this. I'm only in my first term, David, in the lower house, but yesterday's events were truly extraordinary. We saw not just open division, but open derision amongst Liberal Party MPs, and the government literally falling apart before South Australians' eyes. There was an extraordinary number of divisions on the floor of Parliament yesterday, actual votes, and one after the other, the government of South Australia were losing votes in the lower house in a way that hasn't been seen in South Australia for, literally
Yeah, but
decades.
my question though to you, Peter, is taking you back to 1996. Mal Colston, Labor senator, quit the Labor Party because he wanted to become president of the Senate. I think comparisons can be made to what Dan Cregan has done overnight, and you guys helped him do it. Labor called Mal Colston a rat.
Well, what happened yesterday, Dave? I can't speak about Mal Colston or what happened in '96. I was still at school. But what happened last night was yesterday during the course of the day, the crossbench MPs got together, and Francis Bedford, the member for Florey, said, "Look, let's make the position of Speaker genuinely independent, not just now, but in perpetuity." And what the Parliament decided to do was change the South Australian Constitution Act to enshrine the principle that the Speaker cannot come from either major political party. As you would know, Dave, traditionally that isn't the case in South Australia. They come from either Liberal or Labor, and then what you have is a Speaker that acts accordingly with a degree of, intrinsic bias to one side of politics to the other. And what the independent MPs said yesterday is, well, look, we now have a significant representation on the floor of Parliament. We believe the Speaker should be genuinely independent for the good functioning of the House. We went back and had a look yesterday afternoon, gents. And since Josh Teague has been Speaker, on 118 occasions he's kicked Labor MPs out of the Parliament, and only on 4 occasions has he kicked Liberal MPs out of the Parliament. So I think the idea of having an independent Speaker is a virtuous one, and we're willing to support that. And then that set in train the events that took place yesterday. But we should
it might be a virtuous idea, but was the motivation virtuous in this case?
It's about the independence of that Speaker. But, that's for Mr Cregan and others to talk about. I think what's clear, though, is that the government's falling apart, Dave and Will, and that's self-evident. Stephen Marshall has been losing minister after minister to scandal. He's lost a whole bunch of Liberal MPs. They're now openly threatening to quit the Liberal Party with what Nick McBride did from McKillop in the southeast, and now Dan Cregan's actually quit the Liberal Party. And all of this, and this is the thing that worries me the most, all of this is a massive distraction for the Marshall Liberal government, who are clearly not focused on the things that it should be.
That's rubbish. No. Peter Mowers, that is rubbish. You saying your concern is this is a distraction. You guys conspired to create this series of events that took place yesterday.
No, we voted for an independent
You
Speaker.
voted for chaos.
We voted for an independent
That's
Speaker.
That's a try-on.
Well, if I may, Will, what we've got at the moment in regards to COVID is mass confusion between Stephen Marshall and his own chief executive, openly questioning or openly saying very different things about the prospects of South Australians being able to return before Christmas. They are not on the same page at a time. That's exactly what they need to be on the same page about. And it's not Labor MPs.
We get that.
It's not Labor MPs quitting the Parliament. It's Liberal, the Labor Party. It's Liberal MPs quitting their own party under Stephen Marshall's leadership. Now,
but let's not pretend that you're upset about the chaos, and equally that you're not doing everything within your power to make sure the chaos is maximised and indeed continues.
Well, we're making judgments about what the right thing to do for the Parliament is going forward, including scrutinising the government, including elevating the fact in South Australians' minds that they've got a government that is falling apart, and like I said, not just open division, but open derision towards each other. Now, gents, if you can't govern each other, you can't govern the state. If Stephen Marshall has handed over all the power of the state to the police commissioner, his job is to keep the Liberal Party together and run the government accordingly, and he isn't able to do that. And that is not in contest. That is self-evident.
Did Tom Koutsantonis move the motion to remove Josh Teague?
Yes.
Right. So you're clearly really concerned about how much distracting that would be.
Well, let's be clear about this. The Parliament made a judgment yesterday, the lower house, that there should be an independent speaker, not just now, but in perpetuity. And that's what facilitated the legislative change. And then the Parliament having decided that the speaker should be independent, it was clear that Mr Teague was no longer able to stay in the role. And that's why the Parliament took the decision it did. But, gents, like I said, the Labor Party got elected with 19 votes. Stephen Marshall got elected with 25. And then last night he was only able to cobble together 21 votes. He's lost 4 MPs from his own side during the course of a global pandemic. At the very time Stephen Marshall should be delivering stable government, he's delivering the complete opposite. And that is something that I think everyone's right to be concerned about. And my job as leader of the opposition isn't just to expose the fact that the Liberals all hate each other. My job is to provide a united alternative for the people of this state. We are a united team. We have been for a long time, and I look forward to presenting an alternative policy vision for the future of our state at the next election.
Peter Malinauskas, thanks for joining us this morning. This is a crap-free zone here on 5AA. Let's not pay our listeners the insult to their intelligence of pretending that Labor are paralysed with
concern,
alarm about what this means for the state. They would have been popping the champagne corks last night, going, "You beauty, what can we do to smash the joint up as much as we possibly can?" To your point about Goots, but again, as I said in Breaking at 8, that's politics.
Oh, it is.
But let's spare us the sham concern about what it means for the state.
That's right. But Peter Malinauskas is right about one thing: they don't like each other in the Liberal Party.
Oh,
that is 100% right.
That is
and
clear.
that is deeply concerning for actual South Australians.
If you're in the Labor Party right now, you'd be setting up the deck chairs, chilling the Sauv Blanc and saying, let's just sit back and watch this one.
Makes life easy.
Pass the popcorn.
Let's head to the parade. Got an update on a story there where a Mimco bag shop was broken into. Carolyn O'Day's covering it for 10 News. What's happened there? Is the shop damaged? Is the window smashed?
Good morning, guys. Yeah, I'm just here at the shop. It's right next to Chibo on the parade. The big glass front door has been smashed in, and there's glass strewn across the footpath and also inside the shop. And it looks like, one or multiple people have gone in there and grabbed as much as they could. There's a wallet kind of thrown across the floor. The shelves are partially empty. So it looks like there's been a smash and grab. They've grabbed what they could, jumped into a getaway car. Police said that they were driving past around midnight and saw a car speeding away from the scene and actually started pursuing the car, but they lost sight of the car. They did say that they believe there were 4 young men inside or teenage boys inside with hoods. They are still on the run, but as for the shop, it looks like the manager is here with another staff member. Crime scene has just arrived to process the scene, but it looks like they'll be here for some time. But this is a popular shop on the parade. It's a busy shopping strip, so no doubt these offenders will be trying to offload these on second-hand or websites like eBay or Gumtree or things like that, or Marketplace even.
Let's hope they get found sooner rather than later. Thank you for that, Carolyn O'Day from 10 News First, reporting on the parade, as you mentioned just before Breaking 8. If you like the bag, maybe try getting a job.
Exactly.
You can buy one.
Mountain of texts on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. One here saying, all I hear is that the member for Carville has thrown his toys out of the cot and Labor have picked them up and thrown them back in for him to do it all again. Important part of this message is, what about all the people who live on Yorks and Eyre Peninsula, have lived in safe Liberal seats for over 50 years? We've had huge influxes of people move here. We've had hard-working local members that never get any money spent in rural areas, roads that are ridiculously below par compared to the city, health systems that are worse than the RA. What makes Carville more important than the Flinders or Narunga electorates? Good questions.
All right, let's check traffic. Is your BMW due for a service? We'll book your service today. Glenelg, BMW on Brighton Road.
There's a crash at Wingfield on South Road near Cormac Road, causing city-bound delays. At Burton, a multi-car crash on Bolivar Road near Burton Road. The same at Croydon North-South Motorway near Hawker Street. That is causing some city-bound delays. Starting to pick up city-bound Grand Junction Road near Hanson Road, and outbound Tapley's Hill Road between Valletta Road to Henley Beach Road. Discover amazing savings at the Get Outlet sale at Harbourtown. Shop big brands at outlet prices October 15 to 17. Visit harbourtown.com.au for outlet offers. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowie Sport Show.
Joining us, the great Sean Burgoyne. Could have been a crow.
I could have been a crow. They came home. I think the recruiting staff all came, sat around the table, and they said, we're looking at drafting you with pick 5. I think they had. And I was like, oh, okay.
4 p.m. weekdays.
Let's talk through it. And then draft day came and they picked Lawrence England.
No!
Big Lawrence.
I've heard that story.
They picked...
Lawrence England?
Rowie Sports Show on 5AA.
The time is now. An opportunity to tell a new and unique story. 88 O'Connell, a connected community with swimming pools, gym, indoor and outdoor dining, fresh food marketplace and high-end retail shopping. 2, 3 or 4 bedroom apartments with unparalleled views to the city, hills, coast and beyond. The long-awaited display suite is now open, showcasing the incredible lifestyle on offer at 88 O'Connell. More than an address. 88 O'Connell, North Adelaide.
If you want to build a new home, something that reflects you and your lifestyle, speak with Beechwood Homes. And just so you know, they won't try and sell you a house plan. In fact, there's no house plans until you tell them what you want. So go for it. Start thinking of all the possibilities or get in touch with Beechwood Homes for a few thought starters. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. For inspiration, visit the stunning Beechwood Homes display home in Blackwood Park.
Now, if you're looking into a new bathroom or kitchen reno, you want the outcome to be spectacular, but what you don't want is a bunch of stumbling blocks along the way, and that includes broken promises.
Well, that doesn't happen if you deal with the excellent folks at Urban Bathrooms and Kitchens, where they never make a promise they can't keep. And for whatever reason, if there is a delay or something's not quite going to plan, you're not going to find out by accident. Coxie or one of his team will be on the phone to you quick, smart, with a solution.
And it's all about the journey. Coxie and the entire team go to extraordinary lengths to ensure the whole process is trouble-free. So start your journey to a stunning and worry-free home renovation with Urban Bathrooms, Kitchens, Flooring and Shutters. They're Adelaide's home renovation experts. Visit buyurban.com.au.
When you're gone, who gets your vintage 1951 Telecaster? Who gets the jewellery handed down from your great-great-great-grandmother? Who gets the other things that were precious to you? If you don't have a will, you'll never know. Donlan Lawyers specialise in wills and estate planning. From the simplest to the most complex, you can trust Donlan Lawyers to help protect your wishes. For wills and estate planning, visit donlanlawyers.com.
No one likes to wait, especially if you're waiting for something really amazing, like a new Mazda. Lucky, you won't have to wait too long at Mawson Lakes Mazda. Right now, you'll find new stock and demos right across the range, which means there's no compromise. You'll get everything you want and love in your new Mazda. Get behind the wheel of your dream Mazda sooner. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
Need a shed strong enough to resist the harsh Australian climate? Visit Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
27 minutes after 8. We've got Cheese Fest tickets to give away to you. It's on in Rymel Park from the 22nd
Fromage
to the 24th of October. You get tickets at cheesefest.com.au. My stomach always, it gets rumbling whenever I talk about giving away these tickets.
Oh, yes.
82230000 is the number. We want to know what your kryptonite is this morning. What's your kryptonite? This came about because last night, of course, the Socceroos were on, and I mentioned in our chat that I'm probably not going to be fairly subpar in the morning because, as you guys well know, my kryptonite is a lack of sleep.
9:15 p.m.
If I don't get to bed by
hour
9:15, I don't operate. And last night was much later than that, thanks to the Socceroos losing 2-1 in Japan. So lack of sleep is my kryptonite. We want to know what yours is on the 82230000 number, and you can win those tickets to Cheese Fest.
Kryptonite.
I got to know.
So this is
I got a suggestion for you.
Okay, what is it?
Meetings.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm like an old pinball machine. I've clocked myself in terms of the excuses for not going to them.
You
know what it is? I actually think I have some sort of like borderline ADHD crossed with agoraphobia, where, well, not agoraphobia, it's more claustrophobia. The idea of like, you have to spend 1 hour in this room with these people.
Yeah.
The whole thing, the very concept, I find an affront to human freedom. Insofar as you think, well, okay, first question, why is it going to take an hour? Why can't it take 7 minutes?
I've seen you
why is it going to take an hour and 7 minutes?
I've seen you in an otherwise great mood. and you've walked out of here and we go to a meeting and I can see you slip into a dark place, and it can happen very quickly. That's your kryptonite. It's okay. Everyone's got a kryptonite. That's what Superman. He couldn't handle it. I don't know how he came from a place and he couldn't handle everything it was made from. Made no sense to me. But it doesn't matter.
That's
doesn't
why he
matter.
put his underpants on the wrong way.
Exactly right. It starts to explain a lot. What's your kryptonite? 82230000, and to salve what ails you, we'll send you off to Cheese Fest that's running from the 22nd to the 24th of October. Get calling now. The Lord Mayor will join us right after the break.
The St John Christmas Home and Lifestyle Lottery is South Australia's biggest ever home lottery, with more than 30,000 prizes to be won. There's still 6 homes to be won, including the luxurious $4 million grand prize home package in Walkerville. Buy your ticket before midnight this Sunday for your chance to win one of 9 caravan and camper trailers in next week's draw. Buy your tickets at stjohnlottery.com.au and support St John SA today. Licence number M14082.
Hello, Frank Walker from National Tiles. With summer outdoor entertaining on the way, National Tiles has huge stocks of genuine travertine and porcelain pavers at great prices for immediate delivery. Yes, National Tiles has huge stocks of genuine travertine and porcelain pavers at great prices for immediate delivery. So to get your outdoor entertaining areas in great shape for summer, rush into National Tiles now and save. National Tiles, number 1 for the very best outdoor pavers.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers 17 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Hit. Car scuffle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services, RAA approved crash repairer.
There were extraordinary scenes in State Parliament last night. Dan Cregan, who quit the Libs less than a week ago to become an independent, is the new Speaker after toppling the Libs' Josh Teague in what's being described as a coup. Premier Stephen Marshall has told 5AA Breakfast he's destabilised the Parliament.
Just within a few days of Dan Cregan deciding to become an independent, within an hour of coming into the Parliament as an independent, we saw him vote with Labor consistently right throughout the day, and ultimately around midnight last night he's been installed as the Speaker.
But Labor leader Peter Malinauskas disagrees.
We believe the Speaker should be genuinely independent for the good functioning of the House. Since Josh Teague has been Speaker, on 118 occasions he's kicked Labor MPs out of the Parliament, and only on 4 occasions has he kicked Liberal MPs out of the Parliament. So I think the idea of having an independent Speaker is a virtuous one, and we're willing to support that.
Designer handbags have been stolen at Norwood. Mimco on the parade was targeted shortly before midnight. Senior Constable Peter Squire says patrols followed the getaway car for some time.
The car was seen travelling east on McGill Road, over Glenburn Road, and then north on St Bernard's Road before police terminated the pursuit. That was for safety reasons. The car was last seen in the Hectorville area. There are at least 4 suspects. They were seen in the vehicle and they were believed to be teenage boys.
Investigations are continuing, and a caravan has been destroyed in a blaze on Dunorlan Road at Edwardstown. Crews were called just before 5 this morning. No one was hurt. The cause of the fire is undetermined. New figures in the Independent Auditor-General's report show that SA's health workforce is at a record high. More nurses, midwives, doctors and ambulance staff are employed in the state than ever before. Health Minister Stephen Wade says that number is set to increase even further.
These figures come on top of the announcement just 2 days ago of the recruitment of a massive 1,200 nurses. This is a massive boost to the workforce. It's a key part of making South Australia ready for the transition to COVID normal.
Cabinet will today discuss how best to reduce Australia's carbon emissions without harming the economy. Nine's Michael Packey reports.
The Liberals and its junior coalition partner, the Nationals, are under global pressure to explain how Australia will achieve net zero emissions by 2050. National Senator Bridget McKenzie says her party room will only back sensible measures.
There is no deal unless it's right for the regions.
Federal Energy Minister Angus Taylor maintains net zero can be achieved without harming our key resource and agriculture industries.
That you're abating them, that you're carrying them in your soil, that you're sequestering them under the ground.
The Prime Minister is likely to take Australia's emission reduction plan to a key climate summit in Glasgow next month.
Online alcohol delivery services are being urged to ensure they aren't supplying underage Australians. A new study by the Sachs Institute has found 60% of businesses didn't ensure customers provided proof of age upon delivery. Senior author Paul Clonara says it's a dangerous loophole for online purchases.
So with online processes, there is more leeway for young people to order alcohol and potentially have it delivered without there being ID checks at the delivery location. So that authority to leave alcohol is a bit of a loophole that doesn't exist in bricks and mortar premises.
In the US, the findings into the death of Gabby Petito have been released. It's been determined the travel blogger was strangled to death and died 3 to 4 weeks before her body was found. Her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, remains on the run from police. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Save up to 15% on selected ASCO cooking appliances at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
Here's Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. It's deadline day for AFL trade period. Adelaide is set to land Jordan Dawson after the Swans accepted a future first-round pick for the wingman. Meanwhile, the Socceroos suffered a 2-1 loss to Japan last night due to an 85th minute own goal.
Matt Ryan can't keep it out. It's bundled in at the back post. Asano takes the credit. Furuhashimoto got the final touch. But what is certain is that Japan have their lead back at 2-1.
To tennis, Anela Tomljanovic and Alex de Minaur will be on court later this morning in Indian Wells. Tomljanovic takes on Angelique Kerber. Tennis great Todd Woodbridge told Wide World of Sports Tomljanovic is in great form.
She's had a terrific last few months after reaching a quarter-final at Wimbledon. She took out former Wimbledon champion Muguruza in the previous round in 3 sets and then won again, beating Zidansek 3-4. So she's through to the round of 16.
To cricket, and the Redback season resumes this morning against Queensland in the One Day Cup. And finally to baseball, the Houston Astros lead the White Sox 7-1 in Game 4 of the American League Divisional Series. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Is your BMW due for a service? Then book your service today at Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road.
At Wingfield, a crash South Road near Cormac Road causing city-bound delays. A multi-car crash at Burton Bolivar Road near Burton Road. At Maylands, expect delays on Portrush Road at McGill Road for the intersection upgrade. It's foggy on the freeway above the tunnel, so drive carefully. And the roads are wet out there, so drive to the conditions. Starting to pick up city-bound Churchill Road between Regency Road to Gladstone Road. And be sure to check your speed Grange Road Grange. With so many deliciously easy recipes to try, you'll never get bored when there's pork on your fork. For inspiration, visit pork.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
17 for your Wednesday with showers. The showers will continue tomorrow, 17, then ease on Friday, 18. Right now it's 12 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
For 37 years, Steinborner Automotive has always been well worth a trip. They are Adelaide's small SUV specialists. Located in Gawler with late model Tucson, ASX, RAV4 or the Forester, Trax, Kona and more available now. Perfect for the growing tribe with lots of space, safety features and economical to run. With 60 SUVs in stock, Steinborner Gawler has you covered. View all our used vehicles at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth a trip.
Setting targets is easy. It's how you achieve them that counts. As the world heads towards net zero, the advertiser's Mission Zero series explains what it means for you and how you can benefit. Find out more at missionzero2050.com.au.
Now at Harvey Norman, save $600 on the Acer Swift 5. Now just $998. Samsung 427-litre bottom mount fridge in silver layered steel. Great price, $999. Get 60 months interest free, no deposit, no interest with 60 equal monthly payments on participating Latitude credit cards and receive a bonus gift card up to $500. New customers must apply in store or online and be approved for a Latitude Go MasterCard. Minimum finance $1,000. Interest applies if you do not comply with T's and C's. Fees, exclusions apply. Now at Harvey Norman.
Go! Need a shed strong enough to resist the harsh Australian climate? Visit Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes to 9. Everyone's got a weakness. We're asking you this morning for the Cheese Fest tickets what your kryptonite is. Jeff has called in. Morning to you, Jeff.
Morning, gents. How you going?
Good, thanks, Jeff.
Good. As much as I love our older generation and retirees, just stay away from the shops on weekends. You've got all week. You go to Broscon Foods, they line up, they twiddle around with everything. They've got no concept given COVID of who was in line
that's
first and all
harsh.
that sort of thing. Love yous, but you do my head in.
So, just to be clear, Jeff, your kryptonite is old people
going to the shops on the weekend.
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Okay, so it's
yeah,
more
yeah.
specific than
Yeah,
that. Okay,
yeah.
good. No, all right. Okay, well,
that's harsh.
Yep, but
You know, we're not in the censorship here.
And
up to a point.
Adrian, good morning.
Hey.
Good, thanks, mate.
Reality TV.
Right.
Oh, yes.
Anything in particular?
I stand these shows where they try to manufacture a pop star.
Yes.
I mean, how I put it to you, how many competitions did AC/DC win to get where they are? None.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How many did the Beatles get? None.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it drives me nuts.
Yeah. And no one's tried to recreate the Monkees version, which was making a totally fictional TV show about a band that then became a real band.
And a good band at that.
That was a tried and tested method.
Exactly.
David, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Mine will probably be forgetting where I park the car. Every time I go out, I walk in the wrong, the walk past if I'm going there. Where do I park my car? It's a pain trying to find my vehicle. Because it's a pain trying to, when you want to walk around, you can't where you park your vehicle when you're out at a shopping centre or something like that.
Yeah. That your kryptonite is remembering where your car is. That's a problematic one, I reckon.
There's a whole Seinfeld episode about that.
There is. Deborah's in Woodville Gardens. Morning, Deborah.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Yeah,
Good,
well.
thanks, Deborah.
My kryptonite is women dropping their children off at school that drive four-wheel drives and they take off without indicating and they think they own the road.
That's a good one. Thank you, Deborah. Who do we like for the...
let's give it to Deborah.
Well, we've got one more. Let's just see what Andrew's got in the kit bag.
Well, this could be an absolute nerve-wracking few seconds for Deborah, given I said she's won.
Okay, what have you got, Andrew?
Coriander, the devil's toilet paper.
Coriander.
Coriander, the devil's toilet paper.
Coriander splits the room.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it's like oysters. No one doesn't mind coriander. You either love it or you hate it.
Andrew, thank you.
Well, I already said Deborah's one, so we've got to give it to Deborah.
Okay.
Otherwise there'll be a steward's inquiry and, probably a meeting.
Look, this country's already had a penalty taken off them last night, so we don't want to repeat the dose.
That was absurd, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, we still scored from it, so it was okay.
It's Lord Mayor time.
It's Lord Mayor time. The Lord Mayor, Sandy Vershaw, is in the 5AA breakfast studio with us. Lord Mayor, good morning to you.
Good morning. I voted for Deb too. I thought,
Did you?
Yeah, absolutely. That drives me insane.
I could see you were passionately agreeing, nodding wildly in the background, Lord Mayor. I jokingly suggested to you outside of the studio before, that maybe the Adelaide City Council could run classes down on North Terrace for how to run things smoothly.
Well, I think we could, actually. And as an independent member of council, I can tell you that I would, I would enjoy that because we get a lot done.
Nice to see the attention elsewhere for a change.
Well, yeah, that was extraordinary. But, we had another big night last night, and I guess the big story from last night is our financial turnaround. So,
well, that's good.
We did the...
Has it turned around?
Yeah, absolutely. We reduced the operating deficit from 36 million down to 6.9 million and reduced our debt, which is our borrowings, from 90 million down to 34. And that is nothing short of extraordinary given the period of time that we've had. Really good leadership. And it's one of those instances where you had the full chamber, the council, the CEO, the COO, the whole admin team all working in the same direction, and we had an extraordinary result. And we're going for a break even for 22, so, we're back on track. Our finances are looking really, really good.
What's the driver of that?
Look, there was a lot of work done through the chamber with audit committee, with the administration, and they've been very innovative in the approach to doing things. We've cut where we've need to. We've cut our cloth according to the monies that we've got, and we also looked at the long-term financial plan and repurposed some of the things. So there were things in there like the Rundle Street car park that was a like for like, and we say, well, we won't do like for like. When we get to that, we will look at that in a strategic sense. So it was really a very what they call a deep dive into all the finances, and it was an extraordinary result. And of course, our new CEO Claire Mockler has been heading the finances for the last 18 months, so she was a
good
huge
person to have in the job now.
Yeah,
what's going on with the Eastern Parklands?
So the Eastern Parklands was a motion that came through. We had a presentation from SECRA, which is the Southeast Residents Group, about reimagining Victoria Park, and that's really about there's it goes from where to go, so it's anything from ripping up all of the concrete through to let's make it a green space, and we have settled on let's make it a green space in terms of it does need some more tree canopy, but we also don't want to take away from all of the current use. So we've got cycling clubs there, we've got, pedal pre, we've got all sorts of people teaching their kids to ride bikes. So I think that there's a balance to be made, and yes, we do need to make sure that, because it's a massive park, to make sure that
It just looks like all it needs is trees planted along the track.
Yeah, we've got to watch sightlines. So where the trees are planted, that'll be part of the landscape plan. So we do what is called a community land management plan, and we're reviewing that at the moment through the Parklands Authority, and that will come into council. And that's part of the work we do, is to have a look at the landscape, see where it's appropriate to plant more trees. So there's lots of trees around the edges, of course, but it's a matter of how you make the whole space more comfortable. But it was a good piece of work that went through the chamber last night, and everybody agreed, and so we're going to move forward on that one.
Is any part of that about removing any element of the track?
Not at this stage, no. In fact, we actually went one step further, and there was to have a look at whether there's any parts of the track that we might heritage list, particularly the chicane, which is the centre chicane, of course, because, as a street circuit, that's part of our history. And I saw some great ideas that that Deputy Lord Mayor distributed yesterday, coming from members of the public, just in terms of how we might interpret some of that history. I think there's some really good ideas there, so I'm looking forward to looking at it.
What's the council's position on the Labor Party policy that they would bring racing back to Victoria Park in the city?
We don't have a position per se. Every individual has a position on it, as opposed to us as a council. So at the moment, of course, it's used for COVID testing. So
hopefully that's not going to be a permanent thing.
No, we hope not. But it's been there a long time, and but we're very lucky to have something that we were able to set up, and the state government was very, very quickly to set that up. And in fact, we were the first place in Australia, certainly possibly in the world, that had drive-through. Like, people forget how innovative we actually were here in South Australia through the whole COVID period, and continue to be. So, so that's to me, that's an appropriate and good use of the space. I look forward to it disappearing, and we can get the park back.
Speaking of things disappearing, the big hole at 88 O'Connell has started to disappear and take on more of a building-like form. That was a good night last Thursday, the launch, and I think it's going to look good. Do you think, is that going to be the view of the overwhelming view in North Adelaide, or do you think that there's still people who are iffy about it?
Look, I think there are, again, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and the opinions, vary. Some people don't like it, some people love it. I think the proof's in the pudding. I think they've done an extraordinary job. Jamie McClurk from Commercial in General, they built a full-scale apartment there, and of course that opened to the public, but they've already got pre-sale. I think they've sold about 20% of the residential apartments already.
Yeah, in like 4 days.
It's pretty extraordinary, and that just goes to the quality of what we're trying to put there, and it will be, it's a lifestyle choice, because they've got indoor outdoor pools and gyms and Pilates rooms, and but right through to how they're doing the food and things, so that it can it talks to the main street of O'Connell Street. So that's part of the revitalisation. We also set up the Main Street Revitalisation Fund last night, so that we can look at all of our main streets through the city and invest in them, because that's been a real focus of
Start
this
with
council.
King William.
And King William
It's
Street.
a bit of a dump.
And so there was a lot, and Flower Day. We're going to make it an annual event. That was another one that we did last
good
night.
one.
So
Lovely.
It's huge.
Lovely. Alf's called in with a concern about a car park in the city. Alf, good morning to you. You there, Alf? No, it doesn't look like we've got Alf.
Maybe you've gone into a car park.
You could be.
There's lots of car parking in the city, so he probably has and lost his connection.
Call us back later, Ralph. We'll
Yeah,
come up with an answer for
absolutely.
you, whatever your grievance is.
Lord Mayor, appreciate your time this morning.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Lord Mayor.
12 to 9, time to check traffic. Is your BMW due for a service? We'll book your service today. Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road.
A crash at Wingfield on South Road near Cormac Road causing city-bound delays. A multi-car crash at Burton Bolivar Road near Burton Road, and at Croydon North-South Motorway near Hawker Street causing city-bound delays. There's heavy delays outbound Green Hill Road between King William Road to Unley Road, and city-bound Churchill Road between Regency Road to Gladstone Road. Glenelg BMW is now open with next-day service appointments available. Experience a complete level of BMW service. Visit glenelgbmw.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
We save lives. We save money. We save the environment. We are NDE Solutions. Working alongside some of the biggest sectors in the country, including mining, defence, oil, gas, power and water, NDE Solutions lead the way in non-destructive testing and high-end inspection solutions to predict and prevent critical asset failure. The kind that could cost millions, have an environmental impact and potential loss of life to on-site workers. Leave nothing to chance. Schedule a consultation today. Visit ndesolutions.com.au.
Early birds win big, real big, $1 million big. This is your chance to become an instant millionaire. So don't forget to get a ticket before midnight Friday. Plus, your tickets stay in thousands of draws to win luxury cars, great escapes, local experiences, and the $3 million beachfront grand prize at South Brighton. Join the fight and get your tickets now at homelottery.com.au. Licence M144053.
Nothing beats that new car experience, and you'll still be feeling it long after you drive away in a new Kluger 7-seat hybrid SUV from Jarvis Toyota. With all-wheel drive, hybrid power and intelligent safety technology, the Kluger is where freedom meets family. The buzz around the new Kluger is huge, and you can experience it for yourself with a test drive at Jarvis Toyota Clovelly Park today. Rediscover the road in the all-new Toyota Kluger Hybrid at Jarvis Toyota South Road, Clovelly Park. Proudly celebrating 20 years of great deals.
Barossa Village in Angaston, Tanunda and Nuriutpa gives you the retirement lifestyle you deserve and the safety and security you need to make you feel at home.
What a place to live, what a place to retire. Barossa Village has been a trusted part of the local community for over 5 decades. Now more than ever, they understand how important your health and well-being are. That's why they've invested heavily in the pathways for care, including independent living, supported accommodation and residential care options.
And the best is yet to come with new projects, including a community hydrotherapy pool, 19 additional beds added to the residential care facility, and refurbishment for their independent living units.
So forget the sea change or the tree change and try a vine change.
Barossa Village, for a safe, secure and more fulfilling life, go to barossavillage.org.
You might get a call one day. Someone from one of the smartest new industries in the world. They're highly trained. They say they're ready to help you with online purchases, tax payments, or even banking. They're scammers. They catch so many of us off guard. If it really is your bank, they'll never ask for your bank account details by text or email, and they'll never threaten to immediately cancel your account or arrest you. If they do, stop and think, then just delete or hang up. Australia's banks are here to protect you.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
Need more living space or storage? Visit olympicindustries.com.au. Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
9 to 9. I reckon petrol's come in a bit. Fuel Watch, thanks to Glenelg BMW. If your BMW is due for a service, we'll book it today. Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road now. There's a couple of the good spots we've found. I'll give you a bit of a sense. There's a bit of variation around Adelaide at the moment. $1.43 Main North Road in Enfield, $1.47 in Woodfield Park on David Terrace, $1.55 at the Pasadena Shopping Centre on FIVEaa Drive, and $1.62 at the on the run at the intersection of McGill and Glenburn Roads. Just having a look back over yesterday, it's come off a little bit, but it still feels hot. It still feels like it's an expensive sort of period we're in at the moment, petrol-wise. But we'll keep an eye on it for you, and each every morning we'll get you across it thanks to the good people at Glenelg BMW. 8 minutes to 9. It's time for Behind Closed Doors, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight, distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast, 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed...
News and issues that matter to Adelaide. This is Leon Viner.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning. More issues this morning that won't go away, and sometimes it seems like the bureaucracy in South Australia is of the opinion that 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, but it does. It just is. Now, we'll also be talking about what's going on in Victoria, and boy, oh boy, when you give someone power, they usually don't like to give it back. They don't like it taken away. And by the same token, when you give someone a radio show, a lot of the time they use funny accents on certain words to make a point so that it comes across differently. Now, look, don't forget, you can ring on any subject at all. Don't underestimate the power of your calls. Let's say hi to Glenn. Hello, Glenn.
Oh, g'day, Leon. How you going, mate?
Good.
Leon, I got a power bill the other day, and it's clearly wrong. I haven't used that much power, you know.
Well, look, we can help you with that. If you think it's wrong, then I'll put you onto somebody that can help with that, Glenn.
Yeah. Can you tell it to me in your emphatic voice so that I know you're going to help?
Well, absolutely. And let me tell you, it is a fact that when power companies send you a bill, they make mistakes.
Oh, that's it, yeah.
You've got to remember that these are people and people are fallible.
No, the emphatic voice.
You've got to remember that these are people and people are fallible.
Oh, great. Now I know you're going to sort this out for me.
Well, that's what we're here for.
Oh, great. Thanks, Leon. Before I go, how about a bit of, high-pitched no.
Well, look, the power companies, let's face it, have in the past been guilty of a bit of no, it's not our fault. No.
Oh, great stuff. Any chance of a cliche?
Well, Glenn, I'll put you back to Josh, but look, don't forget, if you make your bed, you've got to lie in it. But sometimes, if it's a bed of nails, then you'll need more than a hammer to make the.
Oh, I got a bit tangled up with that one, eh?
Yep, a little bit.
6 minutes to 9. Big thanks to John who's just rung in. Crash on the freeway just before the Bridgewater turn-off, heading outbound. So north and south of the city, there's been incidents this morning.
What about poor old Steve Marshall swallowing a fly yesterday? Some days you just go back to bed. I reckon yesterday was one of those days.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Some days you eat the bear and some days the bear eats you.
That's right. Do the bites.
All right, we'll get some of your texts on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Lawrence. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but I hate sagging, back-killing, foam-only mattresses. That's why I tested my brand new Sleeping Duck mattress against a 15-ton steamroller to see if its springs really are indestructible. Check it out at mattress-testing.com.
If you want to feel great about the milk you pour in your tea and coffee, over your cereal, or in your smoothie, make sure it's from the FIVEaa Milk Company. Because it's a great feeling buying from people who love SA as much as you do. 3 words make all the difference. FIVEaa Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it. Whew, feel like a cuppa now.
FIVEaa Milk Company, celebrating 15 years of SA business. FLurioMilkco.com.au.
The time is now. 88 O'Connell brings new life to this landmark location. An opportunity to tell a new and unique story. A connected community with arts, culture, sport and entertainment on your doorstep. 2, 3 or 4 bedroom apartments with unparalleled views to the city, hills, coast and beyond. The long-awaited display suite is now open, showcasing the incredible lifestyle on offer at 88 O'Connell. More than an address. 88 O'Connell, North Adelaide.
What's the best advice you ever got from an 80s song? Don't worry, be happy, just beat it? We'd argue that the best advice is to
listen to your heart.
Heart valve disease is a prevalent disease, but too many people ignore the signs, like shortness of breath, palpitations, chest pain, or dizziness, which can lead to serious heart problems or even failure. So listen to your heart and talk to your doctor. Find out more at listentoyourheart.com.au. If symptoms persist, see your healthcare professional.
Everybody's talking about Montaigne.
Hi, Miles Fitzner here, and everybody is talking about the Progressive Group Fleet Department at Montaigne, representing 7 of the top 10 vehicle brands in Australia: Ranger Ute, Hyundai i30, Kia Cerato, Mazda CX-5, plus many more fleet vehicle solutions. The Montaigne Fleet team is ready to assist your business requirements with amazing end of financial year offers. Call 8300 1200 today and ask for Aaron, the professional group fleet manager.
Everybody's talking about Montaigne.
BD 182170.
Need a shed strong enough to resist the harsh Australian climate? Visit Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
2.5 minutes to 9. The real Leon Viner coming up after 9 o'clock. Let's get to some texts on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line, because we've got a stack that have come through in the last 45 minutes.
One here from Simon in Woodside. Sent through about an hour ago, Simon. So, mate, sorry it's taken us a while, but we got there. Hope you're still listening and not at your desk or on the work site. As a resident of Carville, how does Dan Cregan, now being Speaker, help him advocate harder for our traffic situation on the freeway? As Speaker, doesn't he become essentially impartial and toothless somewhat? And Simon ends by saying, I hope Labor run a strong candidate in Carville. Don't hold your breath, mate. They might not run a candidate at all.
Well, yeah, they might run their worst candidate they find.
Yeah, that's right. I've had a few of them in the past. One here, Dan Cregan has not been about his community on this. It's always been about himself, and this is why he's lost support from Liberals in his own electorate. One here is saying Steve Marshall's been hiding behind too many consultants and advisors when he should have been making more decisions, spending time fixing problems in his party, less time in front of the mirror. That's why he's in this position. That's from Fred. Trev also says, sounds like a lot of sour grapes from the Premier. He and his bureaucrat buddies, people are sick of their failures, especially when it comes to health. Not much love for Peter Malinowskis' interview with us either. One here says, oh my God, give me strength. I hope Peter Malinowskis does not get in. He would have stuffed up the COVID situation. And one here saying, Peter Malinowskis just did a whole lot of talking for someone who stayed silent on the dumbing down of ICAC. I was a fan of Peter's until now. This interview justifies people's disgust in acts of self-preservation. So a bit of feeling.
Sounds like they both came on this morning and nobody likes either of them.
That's right. But clearly, as we said at the start of the show, the Cregan story changed in the space of an hour last night, where it went from a story about someone motivated by nothing other than principle on behalf of the people of the Adelaide Hills to now one that's become bogged down in valid questions around, well, was it actually motivated in part or to a larger degree by self-interest?
Leon Biner coming up in just a moment, and we'll be back tomorrow morning from 6.